Hey guys, welcome to Green Bean Fiction. So in today's video we are gonna see, what if Swordsman Deku had a mini harem? MHA x One Piece. Before starting, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are interested in MHA fanfictions. This story is Son of the Greatest Swordsman by Stillwell03. Now without wasting any more time, let's dive in. Izuku Pav, age 5. Mom, let's go. Today was a special day. It was the day I was going to find out my quirk. Alright sweetie, just give me a moment. Mom was putting her shoes on with me, running around excited to finally get to find out what I was going to have for a quirk. I would finally be able to find out what my future would hold as a hero. Alright sweetie, let's head to the car. I ran to the car in anticipation, smiling. Maybe if it's a strong enough quirk, Dad will finally come home and visit. I know Mom would like that, and I can show him that I'm gonna be a great hero like him. Please hurry Mom, I can't wait. 5 at the doctor's after the tests. Sorry kid, but you're not getting a quirk. I froze as the doctor said this. I don't understand doctor, why can't he? The doctor puts an x-ray of a foot up and starts saying why. You see, when a quirk manifests, there normally is an alteration in the pinky toe here where there is an absence or addition of one joint. This points out individuality in the way of speaking and normally indicates a quirk. However, you can clearly see that your son has a second joint in his pinky, so it's safe to say he will not get a quirk. I felt my world crumble at this. All I wanted was to be a strong hero so Dad can notice us and come back home. I just wanted Dad to come home to us for once. I was about to cry, but couldn't. All I could do is just sit there motionless as all the hopes I could have were gone. 5 that night, when it was close to bedtime, Mom came into my room to see me watch Dad slice a ship in two with his large sword. Izuku sweetie, it's almost time for bed. I couldn't turn to her, but only cried as I heard Dad say something to the villains. You truly thought this fleet was enough to invade? How foolish. Power will only adhere to power and ignore the weak. You all were a waste of my time. Mom, does Dad never come home because he thinks we're weak? Mom didn't say anything as I see her reflection with her crying as an answer. I don't care if I'm quirkless Mom. I'm going to become a person Dad will have to acknowledge. Sniffle, I'll be the only thing I can be that he will see as someone he can't ignore. I started to cry at my shouting. I'm gonna become the greatest swordsman in the world and beat Dad. He has to notice us if I do that, right? Mom hugged me as her tears fell on me. If you want to, then we'll see what we can do. I'm sorry that this happened Izuku. I'm so sorry. As I cried, I clenched my fist in anger, knowing my life would become hard going forward. 10 few days later, as the days going forward happened, Kachin started to pick on me along with everyone else about me being quirkless. I didn't care though. My goal wasn't to be a hero, but to become a swordsman that can beat Dad. Mom helped me by looking at dojos for me to train in. They all were willing to accept me, but turned me down when they found out I was quirkless. I wanted to yell and scream every time someone would change their mind and say no, to a point I started to lose it the second we got out of the door. Finally, we came to the 28th dojo that we would visit with the man hesitant to bring me in due to my quirklessness. I saw his face as it went from happy to one of worry. I jumped up from my seat and began to beg him. Please sir, just give me a chance. I want to be strong so I can become a swordsman, but nobody wants to give me a chance. All I want to do is learn here, so please don't turn me away like everyone else. I was shaking and clenching my fists in anger as I said this. Normally we don't accept quirkless students since it can be dangerous for them. You will need to put yourself into your training more than anyone else. Understand? I looked at him with ready eyes and nodded. Welcome aboard Izuku Midoriya. Training starts tomorrow. He held his hand out with me, shaking it. We walked home that day with Mom picking up the schedule and showing me when it is. 14 when the next day and the first day of training started, I was ready to learn and train with everything I had. I put everything into my first day, ready to work hard. I was not going to be behind forever. I was going to become the best in the dojo before becoming the greatest swordsman. 2 years later, as the 2 years after joining the dojo passed, I learned how to fight hand to hand and how to use swords with practice swords Master Shitsuke gave me. When I learned the basics of swordplay, I practiced it again and again when I had free time outside the dojo on training dummies until they broke, or I passed out from exhaustion. When the time of my first competition with swords came, I was undefeated and decided to put an addition on with doing what they called dead weight training. I stood strong, but had help. This red-haired girl at the dojo helped me a lot with sparring and training. Her name is Itsuka Kendo, and she has been a big help to me. If it wasn't for her motivating me, I don't think I would be half as strong as I am. 25 Walking back from training, I noticed Kachin and his friends pick on a brown-haired girl. It angered me enough to walk in on them. What do you think you're doing, Kachin? He looked at me with a superior grin. Well, if it isn't little Deku. Go home before you get involved in this too. I saw the girl crying and got in front of them. Don't, you're gonna get hurt. Listen to the round-faced Deku, you don't have a chance. Kachin punched his fist to make a small explosion. Here. I tossed one of my practice swords to him. He picked it up confused. What's this supposed to be? A fair fight. You fight with one, and I fight with the other. This angered him and had him throw it back at me. I don't want your stupid pity. I can beat you myself. I caught it and bowed before putting a fighting stance up. You think you can beat me? You're dead, Deku. He came at me with explosions for me to only dodge him. He comes at me again for it to happen once more. This is how it kept going for a bunch more times with Kachin getting madder. Stand still and let me hit you, Deku. I got tired of dodging and ducked under him when he tried to hit me. I charged at him, hitting his stomach with my right practice sword and sending him into the two that were with him. They fell back as I walked over and held the practice sword's end to Kachin's face. You have an amazing quirk that you can use to become an amazing hero. But instead of using it to make the world a better place, you use it to hurt other people. Strength in will and discipline is why I won, Kachin. Learn them and come face me when you do. I walked away after making sure the girl was okay to the training area I agreed to meet Itsuka at. 8 Katsuki Pav. When the fight with Deku was over, I walked into the woods alone to clear my head. Stupid Deku. Thinks he's better than me. I'll show him when we fight next time. I pick up a stick and throw it as far as I could before hearing something. Huh? I started to walk over to the sound to see Deku hitting 3 bulky wood things. This wasn't what surprised me though. When I looked closer, Deku had some weird weights on his stomach, back, arms, and legs while sweating a lot. You must be Kachin. Izuku told me about you. I looked to the side to see a girl with red hair in a ponytail walk up to me. Who the hell are you? Itsuka Kendo, Izuku's friend and training buddy. She looked at Izuku and smiled with the round-faced girl hiding behind her. So this is that guy that saved me? Yup. Round-face looked at Deku amazed as it only ticked me off more. 6. What's going on here? How was Deku able to beat me? He's a weak quirkless extra, because he works hard like this every day. I looked over to see Deku swinging like he was really trying to destroy the things. Izuku wants to become the world's greatest swordsman, so he trains like this every day. This started about 2 years ago when he joined the dojo we're both part of. He put his heart and soul into this and now is the strongest in our dojo. This includes the adults. I watched Deku break the wood things to pieces before walking over to 2 big boulders with rope around them. He started to tug at the rope to lift one up with one hand and the other with the other. This person is amazing. Round face looked in amazement as Deku did this. 8. So why does Deku want to be the greatest swordsman? If he's stronger than most grown-ups, he can be a hero instead. He said it was to have his existence noticed by his dad or something. He will only notice him if he's the best without a doubt, so he wants to be the greatest swordsman because of this. I notice Deku start to yell a little before he begins to cry and scream in pain. I'm gonna become stronger than you, Dad. I'm gonna make you see me as your son and force you to accept it. You hear me? I will become the greatest swordsman and beat you one day. This shout finally hit me when I heard a conversation with the hag and Deku's mom before. I remember them saying something about Crossblade and how Deku's mom knows him. I didn't understand it until now. Deku's dad is Crossblade. 6 3 years later Inko Pav. Knock knock asterisk, coming. I started running to the door to see Shota on the other side. Shota. Thank you for coming. Not a problem, so why did you want to call me here? I motioned him to come inside before I spoke. I want to get my son a birthday present. He looked at me with an eyebrow raised. I didn't know you got married. I didn't. Okay, who's the father then? Dracule. Does he even know this? I shake my head no. Izuku was part of an accident me and his father had. It was a one-night stand that accidentally made Izuku. I didn't tell Izuku this, which may have made things easier on him at this point in time. But as a way to avoid any issues, I never told Dracule about this and just disappeared from his life. Shota looked at me confused before understanding why. Okay, so why did you want to have me come over? I need advice on what type of swords to buy Izuku. He specializes with 2 swords and I thought he would like this better than anything else. Shota looked at me and rolled his eyes. Swordsmen make their own swords. It's a rule of thumb with them. I know, but Izuku's 10. I'm not gonna let him burn himself badly due to him being so young. Fine. But don't tell anyone I helped you get them if anyone asked. Deal. Shota headed outside with me following him. I normally would avoid talking with Shota since him, Dracule, and myself were close friends in college. Though we were close, I cut ties with the 2 of them in fear I may ruin their lives and their friendship telling them who Izuku's father was. But to get a good gift for Izuku, I had to contact Shota for professional advice. That afternoon was spent looking for the best gift we could for Izuku. For that evening Izuku Pav. As I was walking home after a training session with Itsuka, Kacchan, and Ochako, I was thinking of how to get stronger with the training I'm doing getting too easy. Maybe I should start looking for a set of swords to up my game and understand how holding them feel. After the fight with Kacchan, he apologized to me with Ochako wanting to be friends with me. She formally introduced herself and thanked me for helping her. Now the 4 of us train together with Kacchan understanding that strength is more than just a quirk. Though Ochako and Itsuka have been acting weird lately. They both start to get a little feverish whenever I begin to wear a white shirt to train or no shirt at all. I wonder if they're getting sick or something a lot of times. I wonder if that's normal for girls? Maybe Mom will know. 66 I open the door to my home with Mom in the living room. I'm home. Welcome back Izuku. How was training today? Normal as always. Quick question. Do girls get sick easily? What brings this up? Well, whenever we train and with me wearing a white shirt or opting shirtless, Itsuka and Ochako go red and look like they have a fever. Mom starts to laugh at this with it not making any sense to me. It's them noticing you as a boy Izuku. They aren't getting sick. They're just embarrassed seeing you in a translucent shirt or just shirtless. I don't get it. You will one day. Hopefully I get grandbabies from one of them, or both. Mom starts to laugh at this while I don't get why. Oh yeah, I have a little gift for you Izuku. Mom gets up and hands me 2 katanas. 13-6-15. I asked a friend to make sure they were good. I hope you like them. I open them and look at the craftsmanship a bit to know they were well made. They're perfect Mom. Thank you. Happy birthday Izuku. Mom hugs me as I hug her back. I'm gonna put these away and take a shower. Okay then, see you in a little bit. As I walk up to my room, I look at a little notepad I had with my goals in life. 6 Find a dojo. 2 Learn swordsmanship. 2 Become the best in the dojo. 1 Become the best swordsman in Mustafar. 29 Become the best swordsman in Japan. Join UA. Defeat Hawkeye Mihawk. 25 The first 3 were already crossed out with the 4th almost complete. I glanced down at my swords to open them and see my reflection in them. I'm gonna beat you one day Hawkeye Mihawk. Just you wait, because you will remember the name Izuku Midoriya even if it's the last thing I do. You will acknowledge me and Mom, and you will lose to me. This I swear. I sheath the blades and put them away before heading into the shower. 18 Izuku Pav. 7 It's been about 9 years since Mom gave me my swords Sasaguru, the white-handled, and Shitsuke, the black-handled, for my 10th birthday. Since then, I pushed myself to even farther heights and became the strongest swordsman in Japan by the time I entered into high school. Because of my speed and strength as a swordsman, I obtained my nickname, the Green Demon of Mustafar. People regularly come to the dojo just to fight me and get beaten without even laying a finger on me. I'll occasionally get a nick here and there by some foreigners that come to test their mettle against mine, but I still succeed in beating them. Though this is a step in the right direction, it's still not my final goal. Never once has the legendary swordsman come into the dojo to fight me. I take this as he doesn't even see me on the same level and train harder until the day comes where I finally do meet him and clash with him. Ochako strangely enough decided to join the dojo when she was 12 saying she wanted to become stronger. This surprised me and Itsuka since she never seemed to be the martial arts type. But she stuck with it, and now she's the 3rd strongest in the dojo below the 2 of us. Kacchan chose not to join of his own interests without surprise. He said that he'll find his own way himself, to which I respect. He came a long way since he was 7, and we're both stronger because of our own ambitions. 14. Today was rather normal for a school day with the teacher walking in holding a stack of papers. Okay, so I need you all to fill out these future career papers as third years. He throws them up in the air however when he gets to his desk. But who am I kidding, you all want to become heroes. Everyone cheers and uses their quirks except for me and Kacchan. Oi teach, don't lump me and Deku in with these losers. Kacchan said this with everyone yelling at him before the teacher looked at his folder to see something worthwhile. Ah yes, it says here Bakugo is applying for UA. Everyone hushed at this with Kacchan smirking. It also says here that Midoriya is also applying. Ahahahaha. Midoriya, the Quirkless is smart, but he's no hero. I ignored these comments and focused on thinking of ways to get stronger. And what's so fucking funny of Japan's greatest swordsman going to UA? Kacchan got on his desk and started shouting in anger. 10. Listen up you extras. This guy right here has won every sparring match against me with a lot of them without a scratch on him. We fight for real with my quirk and his sword's ready to kill the other. If he can't get in, then I can't get in. You all get it now? Question mark quote. Everyone was silent as I tapped on his ankle. Just let it go. Not worth you losing your cool over. Kacchan sits down with everyone still staring at us. So let me ask you all this, is your quirk the only reason you believe me weaker than you all? Because if you want honesty, I've topped people with powerful quirks that dedicated themselves longer than I have to martial arts. They're only a means, not proof you're better than someone. Nobody answered with all of us go back to our work like nothing happened. 5. End of the day. As the day neared the end, Kacchan and I started packing our things before a small set of hands covered my face. Guess who? An adorable voice, feels that you're reaching up to touch my face, and can make me lighter. Not ringing any bells. I play with Ochako a bit to have her hug me in response. You're no fun. We started to laugh as Itsuka was hanging behind her. So what's up for training today Deku? Sensei just texted me. A guy's at the dojo wanting to fight me. Apparently he's a foreigner. Dude's getting fucking killed today. Kacchan began to laugh while Itsuka and Ochako held my arms. While we left, 2 guys from mine and Kacchan's class came up to me. We're not done here Midoriya. Yeah, you think you can just insult us and get away with it? Not a chance. I clench my swords before letting them go and walking away from the two. You two aren't even worth my time and effort. Now if you excuse me, I have a challenger waiting ever so patiently for me. They both try to grab me to only get flipped over my shoulder and dropped up face first into the ground. Do you get it now? I went through 14 years of viscous training to become the man I am today and pushed myself to limits you can only dream of at this point in the game. Comparing yourself to me is an insult and only something you can do within your own minds. I pull up my sleeves, pant legs, and shirt to show them just how far away we really are. 10. I wear 50 pounds on each arm and leg with an additional 100 around my torso to carry 300 extra pounds around on the norm. I toss the ones on my arms to them to get the wind knocked out of them and show them I'm saying the truth before putting them back on my arms. While training, I add on double this to make it even harder for me to move. So go ahead, call me weak and quirkless. That means absolutely nothing if you can't have your actions speak as loudly as your words. I walk away with both of the fools having their minds blown. As we walk out, everyone is silent until we get to the dojo. 1. While walking inside, I see an English man with swords inside his forearms smiling at me. You are Green Demon of Mustafar. I will win fight and take mantle from you. I smiled at him before going into the dojo to prepare. I look forward to the attempt. Allow me to get into something proper for this match before we begin. Once I enter into the main area of the dojo, I greet Sensei before putting my GI on and releasing my weights to face my opponent seriously. When I was ready, I came to the center of the dojo with every student watching in wait. This battle will be between Izuku Midoriya and Van Lloyd from England. Whoever incapacitates the other first is the winner. I draw Sasaguru and Shitsuke with the man making his forearms jagged like saw blades. Begin. 10. Right off the bat, the challenger comes at me with his forearms coming to slice me. I dodge each and every one of them like it was nothing while he tries to attack me from different angles. I can tell this guy is an armature from how he moves. If he was really a swordsman at heart, he wouldn't go for the sneaky behind attacks and face me by the front or the sides. He comes at me a little faster without the need for me to raise my sword, still with his stamina slowing down. This best green demon can do. You weak, says the man panting. He gets angered and comes at me with putting his hands in an X formation. Ultimate move, X chop. 11. As the guy comes at me, I hold Sasaguru up to block it. He pushes me back a little while smiling. I have you now, green demon. I only smirk as he says this to glare at him with similar cold eyes as that man. Imagine the eye green. 11. No, it's the other way around, sir. I put Shitsuke down below me before the challenger pulls back in fear, though he was out of time and dodged wrong. I held Sasaguru up above me with my arms crossed around my body before lunging at the challenger. Strike of Earth's Ascension. I slice Shitsuke upward and Sasaguru downward for the man to fall to his knees unconscious. The challenger is unable to continue. Midoriya is the winner. I sheath my blades before bowing to my opponent and leaving for the changing room. I shall be doing some personal training today again, sensei. Tell our challenger when he wakes up that I thank him for his challenge and wish to do battle with him when we both become stronger. Certainly. 6. I walk out of the changing room after putting some training clothes on that I had and head out the back way to mine, Kachan's, and the girls' training area. They were already there training and congratulated me on my victory. I thanked them before going over to 300-pound weights to tie on my body that had either Yowai, weak, Yakunatetanai, worthless, or Awarena, pathetic, on it. These were words people normally called me, and these were words that weighed me down all my life. Carving them into the weights I used were my way of saying I will take these names and prove I am nothing like they suggest. While wearing them, I walked to a giant boulder to slice it with one of my swords sideways, and longways with the other to chop it into 4 cleanly cut pieces. I will beat you one day, Mihawk. I promise you that. 11. Few hours later, as we walked home, Ochako was talking about a possible way to increase her skill with martial arts with Itsuka since they sparred today. Itsuka was able to see through a bunch of holes in her combat style, to which Ochako wanted to close and make a defense that couldn't break. Meanwhile, me and Kachan were talking about ways we could add to our training, with him considering taking a page out of my book to make more precise attacks that hit a center point. We come out of our little conversation when an explosion happened. We run to the area to see a giant wad of sludge attacking and causing mayhem. What's going on? Looks like a villain attack. Why the fuck are the pros doing jack shit then? I look around the area and see a girl with black hair inside the sludge villain. He has a hostage. Everyone looks where I am and notices her too. 5. Is she gonna be alright? Ochako says this while holding her hands over her mouth in horror. Itsuka taps some guy's shoulder who was here before us to get some understanding. What's exactly going on here? This sludge villain was being hunted by All Might earlier today and got away from him. Now he has a hostage and is giving the pros a real problem. The fires are keeping people in danger, with 2 of the pros dealing with that. Meanwhile, a few others are trying to get the girl out, with it not working at all. This has gone on for a few minutes. If this keeps up, the girl could die. My blood started to boil when I heard this to walk into the area. Deku, what a? Ochako tried to stop me, but Kachan pulled her back to stop this. Just let Deku do this. He wouldn't even listen if you told him not to. When I was in front of the safety line, I walked past it to head directly at the villain. Hey kid, get out of here. Death Arms tries to grab me with him backing away while I draw my swords. I'm only gonna day this once. Let the girl go and you can avoid this being painful. The sludge villain laughs as he sends parts of him to attack me. Get out of there, kid. I duck down quickly to put Sasaguru inside the sludge to start slicing the villain's form. When I get closer to him, I change how I hold my blade's handle and slice downwards to sever a quarter of his body off before hacking away at the parts of him holding the girl. When she falls into my arms, I jump back to put her to the side and make sure she's okay. Damn kid, I'll end you. I glare at the villain in anger while crossing my arms to lunge at him. As we clashed, He sent barrages of sludge at me to only be sliced off while I moved as if I was dancing to the pattern. When I returned to his face, I moved at speeds nobody could comprehend. I landed behind him and slowly put my blades back in their holders. Quote. Dancing wind. As I stated this while fully sheathing my blades with the sludge villain being cut into pieces looking at me barely conscious. Who are you? I am Izuku Midoriya, the future greatest swordsman in the world. You picked the wrong town to cause trouble in. You deserve what you got from the green demon of Mustafar. The sludge villain fell back unconscious while I stood and walked to the girl that was injured. You okay? I kneeled down to the girl to see her look at me. 6:55. I am. Thank you for saving me. I smiled before getting up to walk back to everyone. What were you thinking, kid? You could have gotten hurt or killed there. You're lucky everything played out, or you'd be in serious trouble for using your quirk right now. Ha, you think I used a quirk there? That was all skill from training. I have no quirk. Even more reason you should have let the pros let someone die. I heard enough that she was in there for some time with none of you doing anything. Ironic really, the only person in this area that was able to do a job you're supposed to do is a quirkless swordsman. I'd laugh if it wasn't so pathetic of you. 6. As I exit the area, I look back at Death Arms to tell him one last bit of information. Heroes do what they do regardless of how dangerous the situation is and help people. Maybe you should go back to being a sidekick to learn that. I walk away with everyone joining. Well, that was an interesting fight. Yeah, it was. Deku was like, whoosh. Then the villain was like, kerploop. It was awesome. She has a point, Deku. It was a badass fight. I kept walking enraged by the pro's words. *side, don't let it get to you, man. He doesn't know you, so his words are shit. I know, but it doesn't make his comment piss me off any less about there being more reason for a quirkless to stay out of that. If he would have done his job like he should have, the girl wouldn't have suffered and I wouldn't have needed to jump in. I know, but he got pawned by a quirkless swordsman because of this. If this doesn't give him a reality check, nothing will. I smirked at Kachan's comment as Itsuka and Ochako hugged me to make me feel a little better. 7. As we got home, I walked in with Mom cooking dinner and the Bakugos, Urarakas, and Kendos inside talking. Hey Mom, what's going on here? We're having a celebratory dinner to commemorate your 100th win today as the best in Japan. It hit me when I tallied the wins up after this that today was the one that hit the triple digits. I smiled a bit at this. Thanks Mom, but I gotta study for the entrance exams in the next few months. I may come down in a bit for food though. It isn't personal, but I want to be alone for now. I walked to my room with everyone talking about how this was strange to them and Mom just saying that I try as hard as I can as proof I'm dedicated to my training. I ignored this and went right to relax on my bed to decompress from this day. As I laid there, my phone went off with some texts from everyone. Kachan. So why are the hag and old man at your house, Deku? Itsuka. They found out about his 100th win today and wanted to celebrate. Mine are over there too. Ochako. You got to 100 wins. Go Deku. Open mouth smile, open mouth smile. Itsuka. Congrats man, you earned it. Kachan. I'd expect nothing less from you Deku. Get stronger and hit 1,000 next. 16. Izuku. Thanks, but it isn't that big of a deal. I'm gonna start studying, so I'll talk to you 3 later. Kachan. Might as well too. Ua isn't for chumps anyway. 1. Itsuka. Okay, talk to you 2 later. Ochako. See y'all later Deku. I held my head down on the bed thinking of my list and how I was almost at the goal. Ua is the next step. When I get there, I'll find him and defeat him. When I do, you have to acknowledge me at that point. I clench my fists in anger as I spoke his name. Hawkeye Mihawk, I'm coming for you next. I looked down to notice my phone ringing to see it was 2 texts from Ochako and Itsuka. Itsuka. Hey Izuku, can we talk tomorrow? Just the 2 of us I mean. 26. Ochako. Deku, there's something I want to tell you tomorrow. Can we talk in private? 9. I look at the texts and answer sure to them, both of them, while getting up to open some of the practice notebooks for the entrance exams. I'm not gonna get anywhere if I don't study. Now to put my hard work into my studies so that all I have to worry about is being in shape for the entrance exams. Izuku Pav. The day after the Sludge villain incident wasn't so eventful in school. Many people saw it and thought I got lucky with the teacher telling me that I should have never gotten involved in hero business. I ignored this since he was only giving faults and only spewing garbage about me being quirkless. I stopped when he said he had half a mind to revoke my application to UA. When he said this, I told him that he has no right and that if he did I would bring this to the Board of Education itself with showing proof he lets bullying go on while he sees it with me. I walked away at that moment with him now knowing that he can't threaten me like that with dirt I have on him. I never enjoyed doing something as disgusting as blackmail, but I also never liked being looked down because of being quirkless. So I guess they go hand in hand for the scenario. 12. When school got out, me and Kachan went to the dojo since sensei wanted to give a practice match to the kids that were part of it. The match was to show them that no matter who you are, your skill will be determined by how hard you work. Before I started the match however, Ochako and Itsuka both texted me to meet them in our training area afterwards to talk. All I could do was rub my hand over my face forgetting I had promised to talk to the two of them. Focus on that later Izuku. You need to show the younger students what hard work gets them to enable discipline in them at this age. Izuku walked out prepared with 2 practice blades with his sensei holding one. 18. Thank you for doing this Izuku. I bowed at my sensei before turning to the young kids. To all of you, I may be one of the adults. But not long ago, I was in your shoes. At the age of 5, I began in this dojo under the guiding eyes of our sensei Shitsuke. In the short time of 2 years, I had beaten every person in this dojo and reigned as the strongest here. At the age of 10, I learned how to use real swords and started carving my name into this nation. By the time I was 15, I became the greatest swordsman in Japan nicknamed the Green Demon of Mustafar. Ever since then, I have remained undefeated and had defeated 100 opponents under the title of strongest swordsman in Japan. All of this was done starting without a quirk. So to me, you are all more than able to do this if you set your minds to it. 5. Everyone went wide-eyed as I stated the quirkless part. That has to be a lie. A kid in the back said this as I only smiled at sensei who prepared himself to fight. Then let him show you what hard work and dedication does. Sensei came at me with his practice blade as I deflected it with one of mine. He kept his onslaught up with the kids watching amazed I'm only using one of the 2 I have to deflect. Even the one that said he didn't believe I did this was eating his words now. When it was time for me to get serious, I was able to disarm sensei to send his blade up in the air, hold one of my blades to his neck, and catch his in my mouth. Silence was in the room as many of the kids ran up to us. They were amazed and wanted to practice swordsmanship as well. Sensei looked at me to give him a little help to which I was more than happy to. 5. As we kept training the kids, everyone was able to get the basics down with even the one that said he didn't believe me saying he was sorry. I patted his head and told him it wasn't a problem before asking if I could be excused to do something I had to today. Sensei nodded before I bowed before leaving. As I got to the locker room, Kachan was sitting in it smiling at me. So you lit a fire in those kids, seems like you. I don't just defeat opponents, I make sure they learn something from it and become better people. Sensei's defeat today helped the kids learn what hard work can do. I changed out of my GI and into some slacks and a muscle shirt to meet Itsuka and Ochako. I need to talk to Ochako and Itsuka, I'll be back in a little bit. I walked away with Kachan saying one last thing before I leave the room. Hope you like threesomes. He starts laughing while I go red as a tomato leaving. When I get to the training area, Itsuka and Ochako are standing there looking at each other. Hello you two. So what did you want to talk about? They glance at me before glancing at each other. Deku, I want to thank you for what you've done for me over the years before I say anything. When you were 7, you helped me not knowing who I was and became a pillar of strength to me. You're always looking to help others while also getting stronger yourself, which is amazing in my eyes. Before I knew it, I gained feelings for you stronger than admiration. I didn't know what to say before Itsuka spoke up as well. When you first arrived at the dojo, you said you were going to become the greatest swordsman that ever lived. I thought you were an idiot back then but didn't admit to it. When everyone laughed at your declaration, I kinda wanted to as well. But days after you said this, you proved you wanted to know, you will become the greatest and gained my respect from how hard you work. When I found where you trained, I saw how hard you work even after beating everyone in our age group. You didn't stop there and became the best in the dojo and onward. Somewhere in that time span, I started to look at you differently. Because of that, we both came here today to admit this. Though unintentionally, we both know the other's feelings and want to say it at the same time. Both Itsuka and Ochako took a deep breath and blurted out what they were going to. Izuku, we love you. Please go out with us. My head was confused and in a haze at this. Wait, they love me? How? When? Why would they love someone like me? Rational mind, shutting down. I started to black out with the feel of the ground being the last thing I felt before losing consciousness. 42 few minutes later I begin to wake up to the feeling of cold water being splashed on my face. What the? I look around to see Itsuka and Ochako with a bucket in their hands. I didn't dream you both confessing to me, right? They shake their heads no, so you both actually like me, as in romantically? They nod as I absorb this in. Damn it mom, now I owe you 2 weeks of extra chores. I get up to look at both of them at eye level. To be honest, why? I have no quirk, I have an obsession with beating my father, and I have nothing I can give you. B because I think you're really nice and compassionate. I think you're really cute and brave. Both Itsuka and Ochako answer with their faces deep red. I never thought about relationships before since most women avoid me when I tell them the quirkless part. But here are my 2 childhood friends confessing to me. This is like a dream or something. 6. Why, you both know that if I choose between you, one of you are going to get your heart broken. We know. That's kinda why I talked to Itsuka about possibly sharing you. As in you're both our boyfriend. If that's okay with you, that is. I thought about it before going up to kiss Ochako then Itsuka on their lips. As I do this, I look them both in the eye and smile. Does that answer your question if I'm okay with it? Ochako started to smile while Itsuka began to cry a bit. Before I knew it, I was tackled to the ground with the 2 of them kissing my face. This feeling was nice and I was certain that I was going to have an interesting life going forward. I don't know how this happened, but nothing can make me happier than right now. One few weeks later, Oi Deku, over here, on it, after the confession, the 3 of us started dating with thinking of ways to get stronger together. One day while walking home, Kachin pointed out an old beach that we went to when we were younger that we could clean up as training. Kachin and I would handle destroying the larger pieces that we needed to make smaller, while Itsuka and Ochako would pull stuff that was submerged in the sand out. We found some weird stuff while doing this. Probably one of the weirdest was a working top-of-the-line motorcycle that had an issue with the steering being tilted. I was able to find the problem and make it good as new. Thanks to this, I was now able to find a means to travel distances with the girls in less time. Good thing I listened to Mom when she said to get a motorcycle license. Itsuka would probably agree with this answer as well. 14 While cleaning, we're pulled out of our work by a voice calling for us. Excuse me, but are you that boy from the Sludge villain incident? I glance over to see the girl that I saved walking over. I am. You're the girl from that, right? How you holding up after it? I'm managing. She started blushing while putting her fingers together with Itsuka and Ochako tackling me to the ground. We got us a top-of-the-line boy toy Ochako. Heck yeah. They clap their hands together as they make a joke to excuse the fact they tackled me to the ground. Oh, didn't know you were talking to someone. Ochako apologizes while her and Itsuka get off me. 2. Perhaps I should introduce myself. My name is Momo Yaoyorozu. I'd like to thank you for saving me back there. Yaoyorozu bows as I smile. It was nothing. My name's Izuku Midoriya by the way. These are my girlfriends Ochako Uraraka and Itsuka Kendo. Hello. How y'all doing? And the Pomeranian back there is Katsuki Bakugo who I call Kachin. I heard that Deku. You were meant to. We laugh a bit as we hear explosions going off behind us. So what are you all doing out here? Isn't this beach a little dangerous for people to be in? Actually, we're cleaning it up as training for UA's entrance exams. When I said UA, Yaoyorozu's face lit up with excitement. You're all going for UA as well. If you're doing something like this, you must be trying for the hero course. What are your quirks? Itsuka started us off by showing hers off first. Mine's called Big Fist. It's kinda self-explanatory with me being able to grow my fist larger and increase its power. My quirk is called zero gravity. I can take any weight off of anything by touching it with the pads on my fingers and put it back on after touching my hands together. 8. Another explosion happened with me explaining Kachin's. Our friend's back there is called explosion if you haven't guessed that yet. He secretes a nitroglycerin-like substance from his hands to make explosions of varying sizes depending on the amount he sweats. What's yours? Yaoyorozu pulls her sleeve up a bit to make small Russian dolls. Mine is called creation. With it, I can create anything I want to that is inorganic as long as I have knowledge on how it's made. What about you, Midoriya? I don't have one. This came to a shock to Yaoyorozu, who couldn't believe her ears. You're quirkless. Yeah. Go ahead and laugh while hearing that a quirkless wants to be in UA's hero course. Not the first time I've heard it, nor will it probably be the last. Actually, I was going to say that you're amazing. Huh? 11. I cleaned my ears out when Yaoyorozu said I was amazing. I'm sorry, I think I had sand in my ear or something since I may have not heard you right. I said, that's amazing. You were able to save me, incapacitate a villain, and do this unharmed without a quirk. Not even some pros can do that. I smiled a bit at this while being given the compliment. Well, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I did train my butt off for years since they told me I was quirkless. Don't be modest, Deku. You're the best swordsman in Japan. Yeah, you're the most amazing person I've met. I start to go a little red with embarrassment as Yaoyorozu looks at me amazed. You're the green demon of Mustafar. I am. Her mind went blank as she heard this. 5. Thank you for saving me, sir. I'm a huge fan of yours and admire your honor even to your opponents that failed. You truly are an honorable swordsman among many. She started bowing and thanking me again. Oi. If you're done with your fucking orgy, we got work to do. Sorry to talk and run, but we do have to get a bit more done or we'll never finish by the time exams roll around. Sorry to waste your time. But if you ever want to hang out, here's my contact info. Yaoyorozu hands me a number, to which I thanked her. Also, you can call me Momo if you would like. Okay. We'll see you, Momo. She ran up the stairs as I just looked at the piece of paper. Momo Yaoyorozu. 18. I'm pulled out of my thoughts when Ochako and Itsuka pull my cheeks. What's with that look on your face? What look? I didn't know what they were talking about until Itsuka showed that I was blushing a bit. Are we not good enough for you? Itsuka said this in a joking manner with me trying to fix this. It's not that, I wasn't even aware I was blushing. And besides, I was thinking of a way to make her our friend. That's how we started Deku, now look at us. They started laughing to make me join in. What the fuck is so fucking funny? Get your asses over here and put your fair share of the work in. Kachin shouts at us as we calm down and join him. I wonder if we'll see her again. She seems like a nice girl. Izuku Pav. The day of the exam finally came for us, with all our hard work being for this single day. Thanks to our training on the beach, I learned how to manage myself even better, being able to slice through even the strongest metal through my hard work. I was even able to increase the weight on my body to 500. Once I let the weights off, my speed is so insane that even some of the people in the dojo that have quirks that specialize in vision can't see me. Kachin was able to gain an edge as well, learning how to make more precise explosions that felt just as powerful as his own larger ones. Ochako and Itsuka also got much stronger, being able to master their own martial arts to become some of the best in Mustafar. Their control over their quirks also improved, with them now prepared to face anything they can. As we looked at the building, we began to mentally prepare ourselves for what is to come. Sigh, alright, let's go. We walked in with Kachin leading the way. Today was the day we dreamed of, and nothing was going to stand in our way of achieving our goal. Meanwhile, Aizawa Pav, I was able to get Drac to sit in on the entrance exams today since I knew his son would be taking them. Care to tell me why you deemed it necessary for me to watch these, Aizawa? There's a person in it that you may take an interest in. I heard he's a swordsman. Very few can state they are willing to accept the way of the sword anymore. What makes this one so special? For one, he's your son. I tried to think of a way to make him get interested before remembering what Inko said about her kid. Have you ever heard of the Green Demon of Mustafar? The dual-wielding swordsman? Swordsmanship isn't bad. This is the kid that I'm talking about. He began to rub his hand through his mustache before answering. I see no reason to say no, let us watch then. Good to know I can help get you to gain some interest in your son Drac. 5 in the exam room Izuku Pav. What's up folks, today is your entrance exams, can I get a yeah? Everyone was dead silent with Mike trying to continue as this happened. He began to explain about the physical aspect being about robots. I didn't pay much care to listening so deeply since he was stating what was on the paper that I already read. I was more preoccupied making sure Shitsuke and Sasaguru were sharp and ready for battle. So we're facing robots, huh? Yep. When my blades were nearing the point of being sharp enough, a blue-haired boy started complaining about the test having 4 on it instead of 3. He then turned to me and pointed. 5. And you up there, if sharpening that sword is more important than listening, please leave. It is distracting of you not taking this seriously and an insult to everyone here. Says the guy that doesn't understand he's going word for word off the paper. He's literally saying everything that the paper says and maybe didn't get to the 4th robot because you interrupted. Also, I'm making sure my blades are as freshly sharp for this exam as possible. This is something that takes time and can only be done right now. If this is a problem for you, then go find a new career to follow. Only the weak complain of someone else's actions who is managing on their own. He sat down with someone in the audience shouting, burned. 58 on the training site 3rd person Pav. Izuku walked out of the bus with Ochako to stand in front of a giant gate. Izuku felt out of place after taking off his weights, to which Ochako was able happily to grab Izuku's waist and smile. So odd when I get to hug your actual waist without weights on it. You're really muscly Deku. Izuku smiled at this while waiting for the exam to start. You too? Cease your actions this instant. This is an exam, not a date. The guy from before started lecturing them again while Izuku simply ignored him. This did not sit right with the blue-haired man though to make him shout louder. How dare you ignore me in such a fashion? If this is how you shall work with others, you should not be in this show. Do you like the sound of your own voice that much? The blue-haired man remained silent. A real hero deals with issues no matter the circumstance. If Ochako hugging me is that much a tragedy, then leave. There's a million other people out there to take the place of someone that pretends to be a hero. Izuku doesn't say anything while facing forward waiting for the doors to open. As they do, Izuku unsheathed his blades with Mike walking above the gate to shout. Go! Like a bolt of lightning, Izuku ran in with Ochako following behind. What, there's no warning in real life. Follow those two. Everyone ran in with Izuku running in on a horde of one-pointers. Time to get to work. 5 Izuku readied himself as the first came at him. He sliced it down the middle with the others coming at him. He did the same with 1 slash each time with a bunch of 3 and 2 pointers coming at him. Izuku jumped at them while spinning as if he was a twister. Spiraling tornado. He stopped in the center of the robots for everyone to be sliced into pieces. Another set of robots came at him to have one get a blade through its center before swung back to hit another. How pathetic. Izuku ran over to find more with some people who ran to the area baffled at what he just did. Is this guy human? Many thought this while trying to get points for themselves to pass. 4 in the observation room the teachers of UA were watching with some interest on Izuku's acts. What is this kid? Does he have a quirk that allows him to use swords or something to their max? The R-rated hero Midnight asks with Aizawa explaining. He doesn't have a quirk. That's all hard work. Everyone looked at this amazed before Vlad stated what was on his mind. Even if he gets a high enough score, are we really going to let a quirkless boy into UA's hero course? And why would that be a trouble Vlad King? Everyone looked back to see Hawkeye enjoying a cup of coffee while watching Izuku rather intently. 2. Any fool can pick up a sword and claim themselves a swordsman nowadays. However, I can tell this boy has worked hard in a single glance. His form is precise and exact, the cuts are clean, and his blades are hardly dulling from the act of destroying multiple robots. If you pull him out because of something so simple as not having a quirk, then you are wasting amazing talent you can form into something worthwhile. Hawkeye states this while taking a sip of his coffee. Vlad was going to say something before Nezu spoke up. He is quite a unique case. Hawkeye hardly ever says he respects anyone from what he has seen, especially with swordsmanship. If he says he has merit, then I see why we shouldn't let him join if he does get the chance to. Vlad was not around as long as other teachers to know this, but Hawkeye has a natural sense of finding talent. If he found worth in someone, he would pay attention to them. The pros that made it on the scene that came out of UA that the swordsman had an interest in at first glance became top-ranked pros until he stopped watching the exams for some reason. Many believed it was because the amount of people that interested him grew very low over the years, so he simply chose to stop watching them, thinking they were a waste of time. Nezu had thought it was time, however, to initiate the little obstacle they had in mind. He pressed a large red button that forced the ground to shake. This will determine if you are worth my effort, Green Demon. Hawkeye smirked, watching how Izuku would react. 11 on the field. 4. Izuku felt the ground shake to look where it came from. He found the answer with a giant mecha coming out of the ground. Finally, a worthy opponent. Izuku smirked as he prepared a fighting stance. Help! He glanced below the mechanical behemoth to see Ochako. Everyone was leaving her, to which it enraged him. You all want to be heroes, and yet you leave someone that needs help. Izuku ran in as fast as he could and sliced the rock in half to let his brown-haired girlfriend free. You're all pathetic if this is the best you can do. 13. Izuku grabbed Ochako before slicing off half the robot's metal foot. They ran out of the area where Ochako was safe to put down. He glanced at the robot before going low and sprinting. Izuku used the fallen foot as a stepping stone to get aboard the robot before slicing chunks of its leg off and going upwards, evading an arm to jump atop that and slice it. He kept heading upwards till he got to its head, where he made one strong slash to cut off its head. The zero-pointer fell backwards with Izuku standing above the wreckage. He bowed to the fiend before putting his blades away and walking over to Ochako. 2. Can you walk, love? Sorry, but I think I sprained my ankle during that. Izuku picked her up bridal style, to which she was very uncomfortable with, before walking out of the area. As they were about to leave, they were stopped by an elderly woman. All right, Sonny, set her down over here so I can treat her. Izuku looked down to see it was Recovery Girl. He did as she said and let Ochako down gently. The elderly hero healed Ochako's ankle, to which she could walk again. However, she was rather dizzy due to a lack of energy. Recovery Girl explained that this was a side effect of her quirk and that it will go away after a nice long rest. Though Ochako could walk again, Izuku stayed close to her if it became too hard due to the lack of energy. 4. Meanwhile, in the observation room, everyone was amazed at what they just witnessed. Many have tried to take down the zero-pointer in the past, but none did it quite like this. A skinny blonde man in general looked at the scene and smirked, seeing not only strength, but a heart for heroism to match. That kid was Quirkless, right? Vlad could not understand what just happened with Aizawa walking away with Hawkeye. I want that kid in my class. This was all he said before leaving, to make even the principal surprised at his action. Not once has Aizawa asked for someone personally after the exams, but he did this round for some reason. 3. As Aizawa and Hawkeye walked away, the underground heroes started talking about who they saw and who had potential. So what did you think, Hawkeye? I believe that the swordsman has potential. If trained correctly, he may be on my level. Aizawa smirked at this before explaining something important to him. He came to UA because of you. This put a smile on the swordsman hero as someone came to face him by joining a school in which he helps teach in. Has been a while since a worthy opponent has revealed himself. Let us see what he can do. You're gonna be surprised, alright, Drac. I wonder if Inko will talk to us more regularly when you find out about yours and her son. 16. Few weeks later, Izuku Pav. Time passed after the exams, with tonight being date night for me, Ochako, and Itsuka. We decided to go to a nice restaurant that we go to now and again to enjoy a peaceful night. A cook there is a pro hero that's part of a group known as the Straw Hats. The waiter came over to give us our food, to which he started flirting with Itsuka and Ochako. 8:19. Why, hello ladies. Might I interest you in our house wine? It's quite lovely, like yourselves. I started to feel a little agitated at this, knowing some guy was hitting on my girlfriends while giving them roses as well. This went away, however, when they denied him. I bet you say that to all the women that come into this place. Only those that are truly flowers to behold. So any attractive girl you pitch this to. He stops when Ochako holds a smug look and says this. He takes our order and brings it out not long after. The food tastes amazing, with him bringing over a bottle of wine for us. We refuse him though, saying we're not interested tonight, to which he accepts it and leaves us to eat in happiness. 8. So when do you think the results will come in from UA? Itsuka stated this with a thought coming across my mind. I don't know, but hopefully we're in the same class as each other. I stopped eating when this was said, thinking of what may happen. I didn't want to say this to you too, but they may not accept me in the hero course. They gave me a look for an explanation before I went into detail. If they look at my file, they're probably going to see the Quirkless and instantly reject me. That's mean. You saved me, so you shouldn't be rejected for something like that. I'm with Ochako here. If they reject you, well, drop out in retaliation. I shook my head at them before saying anything. UA is your dream school more than mine. It isn't fair for you to drop out for me. I'll still join another course, but I did have my sights set on the hero course. If they do deny me, then I'll just try to get a transfer during the sports festival or something. They understood that I wanted them to make the best decision, but not have to worry about me, and kept eating. When we finished and paid, I drove Itsuka and Ochako home, with each giving me a kiss goodnight before heading in their house. Though my situation with them may differ, I hope they still love me as much as they do now. Once I finally came home, I parked my motorcycle and entered in the door. Mom sat at the table with a letter from UA to give me. Are these the results? Yes, sweetie. I grabbed the letter and thanked Mom before going up to my room to open it. As I did, a small hologram came out with a recording of a little rodent on the screen. Hello, Mr. Midoriya. My name is Nezu. Am I a rat? Am I a dog? Am I a bear? Who cares, 'cause all you need to know is that I'm the principal of UA. 25. His actions kinda surprised me before he got to the point. I'm sure you are wondering of your exam results, so here they are. On the written portion, you obtained a 96 OT of 100 to tie you for the top. And on the physical exam, you obtained a 49 in villain points to allow you to pass. However, here it comes. There was a secret panel of judges that gave out special hero points for acts of heroism. As a group, we decided to give you a total of 60 hero points to bring your score up to 109 points. Though many were questionable about you being quirkless and attending UA, we decided to make an exception for you due to how unique of a case you are. I thank you for your enrollment, Mr. Izuku Midoriya, and welcome to your hero academia. 4. The hologram shut off with a smile coming on my face. I passed. Suddenly, my phone started going off with Ochako, Itsuka, Momo, and Kachin stating their results. Ochako. I passed. Kachin. Same here, no surprise though. Momo. Congratulations. Itsuka. I passed too. What classes are you all in? Ochako. 1A Kachin. 1A Momo. 1A Izuku. 1 Ochako. See Izuku, I knew you'd pass. They gotta overlook you being quirkless if you can beat everyone. Kachin. I would have fucking murdered them if they didn't let you in. What was your score anyway? Izuku. 102 after the hero points. 8 Kachin. Damn it, you even beat me. Itsuka. Aw man, I'm the only one in 1B51 Momo. It's okay Itsuka, we'll still see each other. Itsuka. Yeah, guess you're right. I'm gonna go to bed, night everybody. Kachin. I'm with you Ginger. Night 3 Itsuka. Stop calling me Ginger Pomeranian. 5 Ochako. Night. Momo. Night. Izuku. Night. I put my phone down before looking at the roof. One last part. When I find you Hawkeye, I'm gonna force you to fight me. When we do, I'll force you to accept my existence, you hear me? Izuku Pav. 2. The first day of UA finally came. I had been waiting for this for years and now it is finally happening. I began to leave with Mom stopping me to take one last look before I left. Izuku, I want you to know that I'm proud of you. No matter what, I'll always be in your corner. I smiled at Mom before leaving. Thanks. I love you Mom. Love you too sweetie. I closed the door with Sasaguru and Shitsuke in my hands. I owe you everything Mom. I began to walk to the station to find Ochako, Itsuka, and Kachin waiting for me. Hey you three. I began to get hugged by Itsuka and Ochako with Kachin only scoffing at us. Can't you wait until we're in a private place to do that? Says Pomeranian boy who can't land himself a girl. We started to laugh at Itsuka's quip before the train came to bring us to UA. 6 at UA. As we entered UA, I was given many stares by people with some conversations stopping due to it. Isn't that the guy? The quirkless kid who got in with the swords? I saw what he did, No way that he doesn't have a quirk. The way he moved, I thought of Crossblade as he did that. The Swordsman Hero, no way. You all could at least keep the side comments a little quieter where I can't hear you. Well, this is where I part. I'll see you all later. Itsuka gave me one last kiss before leaving with all of us saying goodbye for now. I glanced to see a jealous Ochako who kissed me as well to make me blush a bit. It's no fair if Itsuka is the only one that gets to kiss you. Asterisk snort, seems even you have something you have problems with Deku. Kacchan leaves to enter into the classroom with me and Ochako joining not long after. As we wait in the room, people started to arrive with the blue-haired guy arguing with Kacchan about his feet being on the desk. Get your feet off that desk this instant. It is an insult to our upperclassmen and the people who made it. Kacchan heard this and looked behind at me. Does this guy have a stick up his ass or what? Just ignore him, you'll save yourself a bunch of migraines. I kept my focus on making sure my blades were nice and sharp with him noticing me. Hello. My name is Tenya Iida of Same. I must apologize to you for not taking you seriously and congratulate you on finding the secret about the exam. I kept my attention to my blades before some blonde guy came up to me as well. So I heard you were quirkless and took out that giant 0-pointer, how much of that is bogus? None. Everyone was kinda surprised that didn't know me. I pulled a hair off me to test the sharpness of my blades before putting them away. I did all that without a quirk and the only weapons on me being my twin blades. I trained my hardest for 14 years in the way of the sword to claim this power I have. Unlike you all, I wasn't born with this, so I started at the bottom to be where I am. Midoriya. Momo walked in and walked straight over with stars in her eyes. It's good to see you're doing well. I also heard that you had defeated the 0-pointer from Ochako and Itsuka. Truly a spectacle worthy of the best swordsman in Japan. As she said this, everyone looked at me with amazement. 4. You're the green demon of Mustafar. Yeah. Everyone was amazed as I told them this. Sai, you can stop hiding whoever you are, we're all here. I glanced at the door for all of them to see a man in a sleeping bag. Shouldn't be surprised you saw me. He got up and came out of the sleeping bag to show a man with long black hair and a bit of stubble to show he may have not shaved in a while. Hello. My name is Shota Aizawa and I'm your homeroom teacher. He pulled out some gym clothes from his sleeping bag. Put these on and meet me outside. He left with all of us grabbing a uniform. While changing, this little midget with weird balls on his head tried to touch my swords. I grabbed his hand and gave him a death look. Try that again, and the hand's coming off. He starts to freak before walking away from me. 11 on the training ground, third-person POV. Everyone of Class A had found their way out to the training field with the members of Class B being beside them. Izuku. Itsuka ran over to Izuku to hug him with some blonde from Class B getting a little agitated. Today we will be doing quirk apprehension tests. Aizawa started talking with Izuku, noticing a third person on the field besides the two homeroom teachers. 7. Hawkeye Mihawk. Izuku walked up to make everyone look at him. Kid, what are you? Vlad was cut off by Izuku pulling his swords out. Hawkeye Mihawk, I challenge you to a duel. What? Everyone looked at this a little confused, with Hawkeye being the only one to take this rather calmly. Now why would I face a weakling such as yourself? This comment angered Izuku. So I can kick your ass and claim your title as the world's greatest swordsman. Silence was in the air until the blonde named Monoma started laughing. Ahahahaha. You want to be the greatest swordsman? How pathetic. Izuku held Shitsuke up to Hawkeye in anger. Very well. I shall battle you. This will not end well. You're telling me kendo. Bakugo was slightly worried about his friend to a point he called Itsuka by her real name. 9. Hawkeye started to pull the cross on his neck off to show it was a small blade. Is that some kind of joke? I apologize, but I have no smaller blades. This will suffice though to prove the difference between us. However, you wouldn't kill flies with cannonballs, would you? Izuku calmed his mind and prepared everything he learned in the past 14 years. This is it, Izuku. Everything comes to this fight. All your hard work, effort, and dedication in this single moment. Hawkeye held the small sword out with everyone not sure what to make of this. The opponent has the first move. Izuku heard this and put his blades in the ground for a moment. He pulled off the weights he was wearing to have them fall into the ground. Now that I have 600 pounds off, I can move freely. 15 Izuku dashed at Hawkeye with speeds fast enough that even Ida with a speed-based quirk was surprised with. As he came to Hawkeye, his slash with Sasaguru was stopped by the small blade. Quite the fast one, aren't we? Izuku swung with Shitsuke for Hawkeye to dodge. One after the other, Izuku was slashing with every person watching in amazement. Holy crap, this guy's going toe-to-toe with Crossblade. Bet he's wishing he didn't have that tiny blade now, huh? Kick his butt, green demon. Izuku's attacks were relentless, but something seemed off to Tsuka, Bakugo, and Ochako. Huh? You see it too, don't you, round face? Deku's attacks are being deflected with little effort. Up until now, I've never seen him go all out like this and not even make a scratch in someone. Izuku. Ochako and Itsuka started to worry, knowing it's only a matter of time before Izuku slows down. As Izuku's onslaught went on, he decided to change up his technique a bit and end this fast. He pulled back a little to prepare for his instant win technique. Strike of Earth's Ascension. Izuku charged at Hawkeye, who thrust his blade between Izuku's swords to keep them still. What the? I can't move my swords. Is this truly the best you can do, weakling? Everyone was silent, with Itsuka knowing now how far the gap between Izuku and Hawkeye really was. That's a move that nobody has been able to block in all of Izuku's life so far. It's a move that made him famous. The gap is now being more shown how different the world's greatest is. She went pale, with Bakugo not accepting it. Don't give up, Deku. You can beat him. Hawkeye pivoted his blade a bit to force Izuku to fall down and get a chop to the neck. Even a novice could tell the difference between us. You're not worth my time. In that moment, everything came back to Izuku. All the bullying, the ridicule, and all the pain he saw in his mother. He hated it, being too weak to do anything. I refuse to lose. Izuku got up and prepared a last-minute move. I will become the greatest swordsman and defeat you. He formed a cross with his blades, with Hawkeye moving towards him. Cross. SLIC. Hawkeye drove the blade into Izuku's chest, with everyone now scared for him. As blood dripped down and came out his mouth, Izuku did not budge. You were given a lethal blow, yet you do not step back. Why? If I do, I would disgrace everything I have worked for in the past 14 years. All the pain I endured and ridicule for not being born with something everyone else would be wasted. And that is why you wish to become the greatest. Izuku stared Hawkeye in the eyes with green hawk-like eyes as his own and said his reason. I want to be the greatest, so you will have no reason to deny me as your son. I will force you to accept me as your own or die trying. Hawkeye didn't show it, but he was surprised. He pulled back and put the small blade away. What is your name, boy? Izuku crossed his arms and got into a running stance. I am Izuku Midoriya, son of Inko Midoriya. There's a name I have not heard in a long time. Hawkeye pulled his larger sword out and prepared to fight. Falling to this blade is an honor only the strong can have. Count yourself lucky. Izuku began to spin his blades to make it look like they were large metal discs by the amount of speed behind them. Eternal slash. Izuku sliced his blades, with Hawkeye doing the same. Both stand behind the other motionless, with everyone speechless on what just happened. What happened? Deku lost. Izuku's blades broke into pieces, with a slash going diagonal on his chest being seen. Izuku, Itsuka, Ochako, and Momo ran over to him, with Hawkeye putting his blade away. As he walked back, Monoma started laughing at Izuku for his failure. Ahahahaha, is that really the best a Quirkless can do? That's too rich, all that hard work, and you can't get anywhe, only the weak mock others. Stay your tongue, boy, or I may have to cut it out. Hawkeye held his small dagger up to everyone as to prove a point. To take all of you down, all I need to do is use this blade. The only one that is worthy to force me to fight with my best sword is the boy. Keep that in mind going forward. 11. Hawkeye started to walk away, but was stopped by Izuku shouting. This isn't over, Hawkeye. I will defeat you and become the world's strongest, I swear to you. ... Then get stronger and we shall battle again. Hawkeye raised his larger sword to the heavens. I am Dracule Mihawk. I am the one you must surpass to become the strongest. Become stronger and surpass me, Izuku Midoriya. That is your goal. That is what I want to see you do. Hawkeye left with Aizawa following him saying syllabuses are inside the classroom and that class is dismissed. As they walked, Hawkeye began asking questions to Aizawa. That boy is the child of mine and Inko's, isn't he? Yeah. Hawkeye kept walking while feeling a bit of pain on his cheek. He brushed his finger over to see blood. It has been some time since someone was able to injure me. Hawkeye smiled at this as he left. Things will get interesting this year, Aizawa. 4. Few hours later, Izuku Pav. I woke up in the nurse's office bandaged up with a man with blonde hair that looked like a skeleton sitting by me. What happened? You collapsed after declaring that you will surpass Hawkeye. I looked around for my blades for the man to give me 2 handles and shards of what was left in a bag. We believed these were all of them, but those friends of yours are still combing the area to make sure. I felt uncontrollable anger and wanted to scream at myself for not being able to do anything. Young Izuku Midoriya, I'd like to give you a proposition. I looked over to the guy to see him bulk up into All Might. All Might. Yes, All Might. Now I'd like to ask you a question. Why do you wish to become the world's greatest? I thought on these words before holding my blades in my hands. 1. I wanna be the greatest, so people can acknowledge I exist. Growing up, my father never once showed up to see me. I thought this was because he saw me and my mother as weak. So on the day I was told I was quirkless, I vowed to become the strongest until I was the greatest and could not be ignored by Hawkeye. All Might fell into his smaller form before asking me something. Young man, I've been keeping my eye on you since the Sludge villain incident some time back. Because of this, I would like to ask you to become the successor of my quirk. I kept silent as he explained his quirk. To make it simple, his is a stockpile and a quirk that allows it to be passed down from person to person with me becoming the 9th holder if I choose to claim it. 15. So what do you say? I took a deep breath before answering. Can you give me until tomorrow to have your answer? I'm going through some kinda heavy stuff right now. Take your time. Losing a fight like that is hard on anyone. He walked out before I got up to see the damage done to me. This'll be a pain for training. I grabbed my things and started walking out of the school. On the way out, Itsuka and Ochako came up and gave me a few fragments of my swords they found. I thanked them before heading out to the forests where we train alone. Once I arrived, I climbed up to see the city of Mustafar and the sun setting behind it. I sat down and looked at my blades. I began to cry knowing everything I succeeded in was now a pile of metal with a broken handle. Sniffle, I won't lose again. I got up and started screaming to the sky. You hear me, world. I will never lose again. I will win as many battles as it takes and carve my name into the heavens. When I do, not even the mighty Hawkeye Mihawk will be able to defeat me, do you understand? I will become the world's greatest swordsman, that has not and will never change. The next day, I walked into school and went directly to the staff room. There, I met All Might, who prepared tea in expectancy for me. Young Midoriya, I believe you've come with your answer. I have. And what is your decision, my boy? I accept it. I will become the strongest in the world. I will become the greatest swordsman that ever lived and force you to accept me, father. For I refuse to accept defeat from you a second time. Up top is what Yojuku's hero costume looks like. The outfit is green, however, instead of black. 28. Izuku Pav. After obtaining All Might's quirk and giving a few conditions to accepting it, I began to head for class while sending a text message to Ochako, Itsuka, and Kachan to meet me at the roof when they get their lunch. Walking in the halls, I pass Hawkeye, who stopped for a moment. How long did you have those swords? I glanced over to him holding my fragments of Shitsuken Sasajuru in his hands. Give them back. My mother gave me them when I was 10. He pulls out a fragment to look at the blade. The fact they were still intact for more than a few years without breaking is astounding. A shame such quality steel had such errors in its production. Yeah, well, what do you know? He tosses me a steel ingot before walking away. After classes are over, meet me in the support course for me to teach you how to create swords. It would most likely be challenging for Japan's Green Demon to hold only practice blades. He walks away with me holding the ingot in my hands. TCH, I'm only doing it so I can reforge my swords and nothing else. I have no plans to make a relationship with that son of a bitch. I walk inside the classroom with everyone looking at me. I ignore them and head to my seat. While sitting, I pulled the ingot back out to look at it a bit. Reforging my swords, I began to hold the hilts of my practice swords while sighing. Better than going through with just practice swords. The rest of the morning wasn't as unique, with the classes being similar to that of a normal college. From what we were told, the hero classes were going to be during the afternoon for the hero course immediately after lunch. 6. Time skip to lunchtime. While online, Izuku, Ochako, Kacchan, and myself began to hear some people talking among themselves. Hey, isn't that the guy that went against Crossblade? Yeah, he lost really badly. Kinda a shame, but what did he expect going against one of the strongest pros? Bet he had a few screws loose to begin with, thinking he even stood a chance against the strongest swordsman in the world. Kacchan started to have enough of these words and was about to say something. I stopped him, however, with him looking at me. It's not worth fighting over. Whether we like it or not, they are kinda right about the fact I stood no chance. He began to get mad before seeing me tighten my grip. Pride is a good thing to have, but understanding when to swallow it to hold some respect for yourself is just as important. He backed off, knowing I wasn't happy of the words either, but didn't try to let them get to me. How bothersome this may be for you. A member of Class A's swine knocked off their high pedestal like the worms you are. The one person from Izuku's class started to pick a fight with me. I ignored him while trying to get my food. What's wrong? Not feeling like fighting me because you're too much of a coward too? The way you are, even a weak toddler could beat you. Ha 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 ha, Monoma, that's enough. Izuku started shouting with the idiot still trying to fight. What's wrong? Am I hitting the right spots and making it clear that your boyfriend isn't as great as you originally thought he was? He kept laughing until someone finally grabbed his shoulder. It is unwise to insult others on their failures. If you would think you can handle what he did better, then allow me to fight with you to see just how well you manage. The guy called Monoma began to laugh while Hawkeye remained silent with a death glare at him. As if I'm stupid enough to fight a pro hero like you. Oh, but I insist. You think you are strong enough to do a better job than Midoriya, where it is worth you boasting of his loss, then I would expect you to be stronger than him enough to stand a chance. He started to go pale before backing away slowly. Hawkeye saw this with walking away himself. To be honest, he was close to being beaten to a pulp by me. Ochako says this while punching her fist out, stating she was ready to knock him out. Let's go. I still need to tell you three something. 5. After getting lunch and heading to the roof, we sat down for me to say what I needed to. All Might gave you his quirk. Shish. This is a secret. The three covered their mouth as I explained it to them. He asked me yesterday if I would be his successor, with answering him today. I also told him I'd accept it on 2 conditions. Izuku heard this and asked what they were. The first was that I tell you 3. I'm not keeping secrets from you if I can help it. Though he wasn't proud of this, he agreed to it. The second was that I would only use the power if I needed to protect someone, that my normal strength wouldn't be enough to handle the situation. I refused to use it as a way to gain fame for myself as a swordsman. I obtained my mantle of strongest swordsman in Japan with my own skill and hard work alone, and that's how it will remain. My honor would never allow it. 14. Everyone seemed to understand, with Ochako asking a serious question. So how did you get the quirk? All Might said it was able to be passed on by him willingly giving it to me while I ate his DNA. You ate his what? He gave me a piece of hair for me to eat and I obtained the quirk from that. Oh, that makes it sound less awkward. I looked at my friend and girlfriends as if they thought something strange before going to my food. Anyway, All Might said it was a secret and that the less that know it the better. So let's just keep it between us. Right, got it, whatever. We continued to eat with the injury from yesterday's battle still fresh on my skin. I'm gonna get stronger, just you wait. 11. After lunch, we all found ourselves waiting in the classroom for our first hero class for a familiar person to be heard. I am coming through the door like a hero. Everyone started to cheer at the fact our class is being taught by All Might. Hero class, it's what turns young rookies like yourselves into the aspiring heroes of tomorrow. And with that, today's lesson shall be battle training. All Might stated this while holding up a card that said what it was. And what aspiring hero would be complete without their hero costumes? He stated this with enthusiasm while having 20 cases come out of the wall. Change into these and meet me at ground beta. We did as he said and began changing to head down to meet our instructor. 2. While walking out to the field, Ochako came over to smile at my costume idea. Deku, that costume looks so cool. Thanks, I like the way yours looks too. I'm guessing the wrist gear are what we talked about. Yeah, I'm so psyched for this. Let's do our best out there today. I nodded while Kacchan walked past us. Leave the cutesy stuff for later, you two. Let's kick some fucking ass today first, then you can fuck the other's ass off. It's not the type of relationship we have. We shout at him before heading down towards the field with All Might waiting for us so he can begin. 11. He began to explain how today was going to be a 2-on-2 hero versus villain scenario with us drawing lots for our partners. When they were drawn, Ochako and myself were part of a team with All Might showing us as the heroes versus Kacchan and Iida who were the villains. Villain team can enter first to set up. Hero team will wait for 5 minutes before heading in. Everyone else, follow me to the monitor room in the basement. All Might left with giving us schematics of the area with us making a plan. Knowing Kacchan, he'll act like a lone wolf in this. Best for us is to have me face him head on with you going for Iida and the bomb. She glanced at me concerned before asking something. You gonna be okay with just practice swords? Hey, the day I lose to Kacchan is the day I quit being a swordsman. 1. Third-person POV. As the members of Class A and All Might enter the monitor room, they are met by Hawkeye looking at the screens in a chair with a cup of tea. Whoa, it's the pro hero Crossblade. Wait, but why is he here? Maybe it's cause he wants to watch his son perform or something. Midoriya did say he was Crossblade's son when I spoke to him a little while back. Yaoyorozu says this with everyone freaking out at this. He is. That is correct. I just wish to see how this boy has progressed and how he manages with what he has at the moment. When the match is over, I shall leave. He takes a sip of his tea as everyone watches. 9. Izuku and Ochako get the all clear to enter inside with them heading up 2 levels before Izuku stops Ochako. He unsheathes his 2 practice swords before charging to duck under an explosion that just happened. Bakugo came out of the corner like a madman with dodging Izuku's counter. Been a while since we last fought Deku. Let's see if I can finally win this time. Bakugo charged with a right hook for Izuku to dodge and hit him in the stomach with his 2 practice blades. Even when we've fought with just practice swords, you've never beaten me once since we were 7. I plan to keep it that way. As they went at each other, Ochako ran up the stairs with Bakugo speaking into his communicator. 4 eyes, round face is coming up, so be careful. What? Where are you at this moment? Handling Deku, be careful. He cut the feed before looking at Izuku. So who goes first? Izuku pulled a coin out to show Bakugo. We start when this falls to the ground. The coin flipped in the air as the 2 prepared for it to drop. When it hit the ground, the 2 charged at the other with Bakugo setting off explosions that missed by millimeters. Meanwhile, Izuku used his practice swords to smack Bakugo's wrists to open his torso area before being pushed back by explosions to avoid getting burned. After the blasts, Izuku came right back at Bakugo for the cycle to repeat again. Whoa, Midoriya's fast. He seems slower today though. Did he not get fully healed yesterday? Recovery girl told me that his cut was unable to be healed due to some abnormal ability by Crossblade's sword. Apparently, it has special properties that she cannot heal injuries from. Hawkeye watched Izuku's movements to realize something as well. He's wearing weights. It's subtle, but I can tell they are on him. Hawkeye states this while sipping some of his tea, smirking at Izuku. Eventually, Bakugo had enough of being knocked back to hold his gauntlet that glowed up. Now it's time to see what this can really do. Bakugo pulled part of his grenade-themed gauntlet up for a pin to pop out to get everyone's attention. 1. So this was the idea you had. Using accumulated sweat from the palms of your hands to hold it in the gauntlets. When enough is stored, you send out a massive explosion by pulling the pin, I presume. Damn straight. Izuku got ready for what was coming with All Might trying to be a voice of reason. Young Bakugo, don't. You could kill him. Stay out of this, All Might. Both boys shout this as Bakugo pulls the pin for a massive explosion to head towards Izuku. The building shakes with visual on Izuku being gone temporarily. What happened to Midoriya? Is he okay? Ribbit. Everyone was panicking with Hawkeye sipping from his tea unfazed. If he died, he would have never had the mantle he did as greatest swordsman in Japan. He places his tea on his small plate watching smugly. I have faith he survived that. 4. As the smoke started to clear, Bakugo waited for Izuku to come at him with nothing to his knowledge from the green-haired boy. I didn't kill him, right? He thought this as two practice blades came above him slamming him down face first cracking the concrete. Strike of the vengeful tiger. Izuku stood with the top half of his hero suit charred off with his injury the day prior opened and bleeding. Cough damn it. He started kneeling to the ground with one of his wooden blades supporting him. Pant I gotta hand it to you Kachin, that attack pant was something. Bakugo could only groan in pain as his jaw and skull felt as if they were shattered with a mild concussion from Izuku's attack. Before Izuku could get his second wind, Ochako was able to touch the bomb by knocking out Iida and claiming victory for them. Hero team wins. 6. Few hours later, Izuku Pav. After we finished classes, I told Kachin, Ochako, and Itsuka that I had something I needed to do in order to get my swords back. They understood and went ahead since I was going to be some time from what I said. I began heading towards the support course with the ingot that Hawkeye gave me in my hand. Once I got near the section, the swordsman was waiting for me patiently. Come with me. I followed him down a flank of stairs to a basement area with him explaining what we're doing. Swords wielded by any swordsman are worth their life to keep. However, you understand the significance of certain swords when you make quality weapons yourself. We arrived at what looked as if a forge with him asking for the ingot. 2. The swords you have are far too damaged to be repaired, so I shall show you how to reforge blades stronger than them in order to replace what was lost. He started showing me the basics by crafting a simple sword after 30 minutes of work. The one I had made is nothing compared to the katanas that you will make. This process takes 2 weeks of hard work and dedication. If you do something incorrectly, you will have to start over from scratch. He explains what I have to do with getting down to business. The base didn't seem that hard after melting the steel and placing it into a mold. While hammering it into place though, Hawkeye stopped me to notice something. He grabbed the blade he made to slice the work that took me 40 minutes at that moment in half. Start over. This angered me, but I began the process again with another ingot he gave me. I repeated the process of melting the steel down and hammering it into place for him to stop me again to do the same thing with this one, taking an hour of my time to get to this level. Start over. He states this again now with my emotions fueled with rage as he did this not once, but twice to anger me to no end. I focused on every hit I made for him to stop me yet again at a 2-hour mark to do the exact same thing again. What's the point of making the swords if you're going to destroy them? If they were worth the effort, this blade wouldn't shatter to this flimsy piece I had made. I lost my temper and left. Come back here tomorrow during sunrise. I shall wait for you to arrive so we can attempt this again. Screw you. Hawkeye Pav. As Izuku left, I grabbed the 3 failures he had made to inspect them closer. To be honest, he would have had a better sword than either one of the 2 he had if he was able to finish them. Not a bad first attempt if you asked for my honesty. I placed the failed swords in a barrel with preparing several steel ingots in case he was unable to make one tomorrow or the next day that met the base standards. I hope for your sake Izuku, you gain a great sword or 2 by the end of this. Hawkeye Pav. 3. I had gotten to the door of a house I would never expect to be at for as long as I lived to see Izuku. Once I knocked on the door, the voice of Inko could be heard. Izuku, did you forget something Hawkeye? She opened it to see me at her doorstep with a shocked face. D-Drac, nice to see you again. It's nice to see you as well Inko. There was a silence until she opened the door a bit. Would you like to come in? Thank you. I bowed slightly before walking in the door. She led me into the kitchen for us to have a seat while grabbing a few cups. Coffee. Yes, thank you. She passed me a cup with taking a sip to enjoy the taste. You always knew how to brew a good cup of coffee. Inko smiled a bit while we remained silent. Why did you come? I thought on this for a few seconds before answering. I'm sorry. She looked at me while I stated my answer. I'm sorry for leaving you to raise Izuku on your own. If I would have known, it's not your fault, it's mine. I didn't want to burden you after a night we both did something stupid. But that doesn't mean you had to get involved. Quote. I should have. If I did, perhaps things would be different. She took a sip of coffee before asking me to follow her. I did as she asked to enter into Izuku's room. Inside, I noticed quite a few posters of heroes and myself. He may not show it, but he admires you to some degree. He probably would have become a swordsman regardless and vowed to beat you even if I told you about Izuku. I did what I did mainly because this would have been a problem for you if you found out about Izuku, so don't think you should blame yourself for this. 1. We walked out to finish our coffee before I got up to leave. I apologize if I had taken up your time, Inko. Don't worry about it. Izuku gets up this early to train, so I normally am up doing nothing during this time. As I left, Inko stopped me for one last thing. Izuku thinks you walked out on us because we were weak. Please try and explain to him that this wasn't the case if you can. I held my head down a bit while answering. I will. As I walked out, I heard someone running over in a bit of pain with a few others. Once I glanced to the sound, I noticed Izuku along with some others. If I remember correctly, their names were Bakugo, Uraraka, Kendo, and Yaoyorozu. Hawkeye. Izuku glared at me with spite while I remained emotionless to him. Care to tell me why you're in front of my house? I had come to make sure you remembered that we are going to try to reforge your swords again today. He glared at me before nodding. I'm gonna go and reforge my blades again. I'll meet you all for lunch later. Don't kill someone without me there, Deku. Have fun. Best of luck. Rooting for you, Izuku. We walked to the station with it still being quiet. Are those 4 your friends? What's it to you if they are? I stayed quiet as Izuku explained. Ochako the brown-haired one and Itsuka the orange-haired one are my girlfriends, with Kachin the guy and Momo are my friends. Nice to see he has friends and people that cherish him. We will try this again today. Make sure you give it your all to make your blades again. At Ua, we arrived at UA to enter into the forge. I looked at the clock to see it was 6 in the morning. You will have until 1 o'clock today to make something worth the effort. If you do not, we will continue this tomorrow as well. He seemed to understand with grabbing a steel ingot to melt down. For the next 7 hours, he had made 4 blades with all of them failing within the time. The last, however, was nearly close if he had not hit it in the wrong position too many times. Once that one was broken, I had noticed he was getting frustrated and angered with me. Take the day to consider where you had gone wrong today. I'd love to if I knew what the issue was myself. He wiped his face with a towel that was on the side as I spoke to him. Each hit must be precise for the best blade. Such as with battle, one false move will end in failure. He walked out as I placed the failed blades in the barrel before leaving. Izuku Pav. After leaving Ua, I took a shower before texting everyone that I was finished for the day for us to meet at the shopping district. Ochako noticed me quickly to grab my arm. Hey Izuku, how'd your reforging thing go? I held an irritated look on my face for her to realize how it went. That bad. 4 times in 7 hours before giving me some lame-ass excuse why they aren't up to his standards. I let out an angered breath before trying to compose myself for Itsuka to pat my back. It's all right, I know you'll get it. She smiled at me to make me lose all my anger. Yeah, it's just frustrating. Anyway, what do you all wanna do? Let's go see if something cute's on clearance for Itsuka. Hey, I've got cute stuff. A biker jacket isn't deemed cute in my book Ginger. Kachin had gotten a karate chop to the head for us to laugh. Like I'm trying to impress you. We began heading into a small store that seemed to have some nice clothes on clearance for Momo and Ochako to find some things that made Itsuka look a little more feminine in their opinion. They used me as their guinea pig for if they were cute on her for me to blush at every dress she put on. The thought of my lovable girlfriend that isn't afraid to show her tomboy side in a dress that shows her feminine side was quite a picture for me. Izuku, look. Ochako came out in a skirt that was covering hardly half her thighs and a shirt that revealed a bit of her cleavage to make me have a bit of a nosebleed. Oh god, that's hot. We went to the cashier for Itsuka and Ochako to pay. I stopped them however when giving the cashier the amount that we needed for the two to get mad at me. 2. While walking out, Itsuka and Ochako got in front of me to show a bit of a mad face. You didn't have to do that, you know. Maybe, but I wanted to. But now I feel like I'm being mean to you, forcing you to pay for my things. I paid for them, Ochako, because I wanted to make you two happy. Besides, a little chivalry here and there never hurt anyone. We laughed a little while hearing an explosion. We ran to the area to see a bunch of pirates led by some man that was decked out in armor leading them. 9. Take everything, men. Don't leave anything of value. Everyone ran with the pirates attacking. It's Don Krieg. Run. In the anarchy, I began to see some people get hurt by some of the pirates to make mine and Kachin's blood boil. These fuckers think they can hurt someone and get away with it. You got my back. I pulled out my practice blades for Kachin to make small explosions in his hands while giving a sickening smile. Fuck yeah, man. 4. Third-person POV. Izuku and Bakugo ran down the staircase with Ochako, Itsuka, and Momo trying to follow. However, they were met with some pirate thugs holding them back. Hey there, pretty ladies. Give us what ya got and we might let you go easy. Some guy started holding his tongue out with Itsuka walking up to him. Sorry, but no deal. She punched the guy right in his face for him to go unconscious. The other 5 in the group began to come at them for Ochako to judo flip one into another and Momo making a pipe to knock out 2 others. The last tried to get the best of Itsuka by pulling a gun. However, she was able to jump kick him into a wall, knocking a few teeth out. Don't mess with us next time. As the girls were cleaning up, some freak that looked like a clam pearl came in front of Izuku and Bakugo. 11. It would appear that we have some rude guests. I will be sure to teach you why nobody messes with the Krieg pirates. The guy went in front of the 2 ready to fight with them, preparing to as well. Deku, get the captain. I got this, wannabe. ... Don't lose. Izuku ran off with Bakugo smiling. Why would I lose to this freak? Bakugo came at the pirate with intent to kill while he stood there ready for anything. You think your attacks will damage me, the mighty pearl's defense? Ridiculo. D. Bakugo blasted the guy's face for him to go back and fall to the ground. So much for that, mighty defense. 1. Pearl started to get up and feel his face to see blood on it. He began screaming with clapping his shields on his hands together. The fuck? Danger. Danger. Da anger RR. Pearl started to light himself on fire with Bakugo not liking the looks of how things were going. Fire pearls, special treat. Bakugo saw a large amount of what looked as pearls on fire coming at him to dodge before going right in to try and blast him again. Whoever you are, you're no match for me. Bakugo began dodging several attacks while the area around them started to catch fire. Danger. 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 This is getting old. Bakugo began to sweat far more to hold large amounts of sweat in his hands. AP shot. He began shooting a condensed explosion that he knew how to do some time ago, trying to get the upper hand on Izuku in a fight. The act cracked the center plating for Pearl's shell before Bakugo grabbed his shirt collar. D. With momentum from explosions, Bakugo bashed Pearl's head into a wall to knock him out, along with forcing him to put himself out. Alright, now I gotta worry about these fires. Don't worry about this, man. We got this. Bakugo looked over to see 3 people he thought he saw somewhere before. No way. 1. With Izuku. What? A bunch of nosy brats took down our men and Pearl. Impossible. Don Krieg was not holding a calm act at the moment, with his men backing away slowly. Hey you. The pirate captain looked over to see Izuku with his practice swords out. I'll give you 2 options right now. Leave or get ready for me to kick your ass for scaring the nice people in this place. HMPH, and who do you think you're talking to with just some stupid practice swords in your hands, boy? Don Krieg, captain of the Krieg pirates. The most cowardice of all pirates there could be. So you know that I am not someone to be reckoned with. You're not dangerous, you're a coward. Attacking people after raising a white flag, attacking your enemies in the back, only the weak do that. This comment angered Krieg to pull out every gun he had. How dare you insult me like that? You will regret the day you messed with Don Krieg. He started shooting everything at Izuku for him to run over to a metal beam. This isn't good. Gotta think how to handle Don Krieg quick before someone gets hurt. Izuku looked around while noticing an opening for him to jump into the next level. Where is that smart aleck tongue now, boy? Krieg began to reload with Izuku jumping off to come at him with both his practice swords. Strike of the Vengeful Tiger. The first sword hit Krieg's shoulder piece that seemed to hold some kind of gas tank, while the second hit him over the head. He staggered back before he hit Izuku right in the stomach with his knuckle bracer made of diamond. Son of a... 1. Izuku went flying into a pillar with his stomach starting to bleed again. Damn it, how sad, boy. Is this truly the best you can do? Krieg began walking over to Izuku while pulling his one shoulder piece off to create a spear. You may think you are worth my effort, but you are nothing but a fool trying to gain fame. It's time to take down that snotty attitude of yours for you to understand who you are messing with. Struggling to get up, Izuku glared down Krieg with confidence. I know who I'm messing with. A coward who relies solely on weapons and refuses to handle things as a real man. If you had a shred of honor, you'd fight me on level terms with only one weapon. This comment angered Krieg to thrust the spear at Izuku for it to miss and hit the beam to cause an explosion. If you think you can beat me with only those toys, then so be it. Izuku ran to Krieg for him to slam the spear down. Izuku dodged with the explosion making a smoke cloud. Taking advantage of the dust, Krieg began to slash at Izuku with him dodging every hit by inches. Is this all you can do? Dodging will not save you, brat. While Izuku was dodging, Itsuka, Ochako, and Momo came to the scene to notice Izuku going one-on-one with the pirate captain. We need to help him. Momo tried to go down with Bakugo coming over with 3 people by him. Don't get involved. Why? He's hurt already, so it isn't right to have him go against this man. It's because this is one of the first times in a while someone has pushed Izuku to this extent besides Hawkeye. Itsuka says this while pointing out something that surprised Momo. He's smiling. Izuku fights several different people in his life. However, he can't help but feel his blood rush and his heart beat faster when he's pushed to a brink like this with his own skills being tested. It makes him understand why he wanted to become a swordsman in the first place. Ochako says this while Izuku jumps on the spear to hit Krieg in the face. This guy's really awesome. A blonde says with a blue-haired girl and a dark-haired boy behind him. So who are you 3? Itsuka points out this for Bakugo to smile. You won't believe it when I say it. 12 While the 7 spoke, Izuku began to feel his chest open up again to cough up some blood. Running out of steam, you little pest. Krieg came at Izuku one last time with his spear for him to see something strange. He noticed the spear come in a general direction and how he could dodge it. What the? Izuku did what he saw to dodge the spear to see it break with one last explosion. Now's my chance. Cross slice. Izuku stood behind Krieg standing up while putting his practice blades in a holder. When he got to the handle, he put them in for Krieg to collapse backwards with blood coming out his nose and mouth. My wi bleg. Izuku knelled over from pain while puking up some blood. Izuku? The girls ran down with seeing Izuku pass out from blood loss. 1 hour later, Izuku Pav. I started to wake upon the side of a building with Itsuka, Ochako, and Momo beside me. What happened? Oh yeah, I fought Krieg and won. Izuku? I was immediately hugged by the girls with immense pain going through my body. Ow. They let go immediately when they realized I was hurt. That was an awesome fight, Midoriya. Yeah. I heard that Don Krieg is a dangerous pirate that even pro heroes are worried about going against. I looked up to see 3 people in front of me. Thanks, but who are you 3? I'm Mirio Tagata. I'm Najire Hado. I'm Tamaki Ayamajiki. I heard their names while trying to think where I heard them before until it hit me. You 3 are the top students in UA if I remember correctly. The big 3 if I'm right? Correct, Midoriya. Tagata smiled while giving me a thumbs up. So our little champion is up and running again, I see. 111. I got a few questions for you. I began to get up while reaching for my wallet. Vice Admiral Smoker, I presume? Yeah. Now I need a name and information if you have a bounty hunter license. I pulled out the license and my ID for him to see. Izuku Midoriya. Green Demon of Mustafar if I remember correctly. Not a bad job here. I'll explain the license down below. He began giving me a clipboard with which he needed my signature to say I gave Krieg to him. The bounty on his head was worth 17 million berries, or 1,700,000 yen in Japan. Nicely done, kid. He handed me the cash while walking away. Also, make sure you get that injury on your chest healed up. Be ashamed to lose a kid as strong as you are. 5. We decided to call it a day with that, making sure to get some bandages and a few things of disinfectants. That was really brave of you, Izuku, but you should have waited for help. Momo started to lace into me with Itsuka and Ochako on her side. You were already hurt, Izuku, please don't do something so scary like that again. We worry for you. Ochako asked this with Itsuka agreeing with her. I promise I'll try to avoid making risky moves like this again. We came to Momo's family's estate with her looking at me, Itsuka, and Ochako. Question: if I were to say that I'd like to date Izuku, would that be a problem? I looked at her a little surprised with Itsuka and Ochako answering for me. Heck no. Welcome aboard. Yeah. Let's make Izuku a mini harem. Kacchan looked at me as if I was an idiot at that moment. Is it only swordsmen that get all the chicks or something? You think I'm trying this? Sigh. If Ochako and Itsuka are fine with it, then I guess I am. Momo was so excited hearing this that she gave me a kiss on the lips before running into her mansion. Something tells me my life is going to be fun after this. Izuku Pav. Another weekend had come and gone with Monday beginning. Yesterday, it seemed like I was on the verge of making a good sword before Hawkeye broke it in half yet again. What is it with that guy and making me do my fucking swords over and over again? I think the heat from the forge is finally getting to me. Good morning, class. Good morning, Mr. Aizawa. Our teacher came in his normal sleepless-like manner before looking at me. I overheard you took out Don Krieg of the Krieg Pirates. Impressive work, Midoriya. Seasoned pros have attempted to take him in with it not ending well. Thank you, sir. Anyway, I had also gone over all the reports on your battles, nicely done. But having brutal training sessions where your teacher is needing to contemplate getting involved should not be a thing. Bakugo, Midoriya, don't ever do something so reckless again. We nodded before he got back to the topic at hand. 6. On our next order of business, we will be discussing something that will determine your future here at UA. Everyone listened quietly, not knowing what it was. They didn't have the first test, so they don't know of Aizawa's logical ruse. You need to pick a class representative and vice representative. Everyone shouted in excitement with some grape perv making a remark about girls' skirts before I smacked him over the head with a practice blade. Midoriya. Hitting another classmate in such a manner is unheroic. And him spouting bullcrap of making girls' underwear more noticeable isn't? There's a saying my sensei taught me. Children with no discipline do not become great people. I'm just enacting the discipline he should have been given at a young age, but did not. Everyone went silent while I got up to write down names and pass out slips of paper. Put the person who you think is best suited on this slip of paper and we'll choose from this. Wait, but won't most of us vote for ourselves? Yes, but not all. Those that made an impression on people already will be voted for, and those votes will mean the most. But as a safety, you all will choose someone other than yourself just to make this fair. I sat down while writing down Momo's name on my sheet since I believed she was the best suited in my opinion. 5 minutes passed with the votes being pulled and counted. I had won with an astounding 8 with Momo behind me with 5. Alright. Midoriya is our class representative and Yaoyorozu's our vice representative. This finishes homeroom. We sat down and prepared for our first class with present Mike, who taught English. At lunch, while sitting in lunch, myself, Itsuka, Ochako, Momo, and Kacchan started to have a conversation about the class representative situation between our two classes. So you're going to be the class representative in Class A? Niece, I'm the representative for Class B. Who's the vice? Itsuka stopped eating for a moment to give a disgusted face. The idiot that wanted to pick a fight with you. Did he at least mellow out a little? Nope. Well, if it isn't the mighty swordsman of Class A. It must be so pathetic of you to know you are nothing but filthy swine. I'm certain Kendo must be ashamed to be by you. He started laughing like an idiot before Itsuka gave him a punch in the gut without her quirk. The act made him kneel down before realizing she had her arm now wrapped around my side. You honestly think you're so amazing that you have 3 sluts around you? I jab him in the stomach with my practice blades before getting up to grab him by the collar of his uniform. You are lucky right now I don't beat you bloody. If you have a problem with me, that's fine. But the second you go after my girlfriends, let's just say I'm not going to sit back and stand for it. I was fueled with rage at that moment and picking the blonde up off the ground. Is brutality all you can manage? Scum like you always turn to violence. And weaklings are always the ones that try to boast of their self-proclaimed superiority. You are nothing but a small pup trying to claim he's stronger to a raging bull who is prepared to charge at him. I put him on the ground before turning back to eat. Not even worth punching your lights out. The gap between us is so significant, it would just embarrass you. Before he could speak or talk back, the alarms rang with some third years saying it's a code 3. Apparently it meant someone infiltrated the grounds. When we ran outside, we noticed it was absolute chaos. Ochako, can you make everyone but me float? I think so. She did this with not turning to Momo. Momo, any chance you could make a little rope? She passed me the rope to tie it around everyone to connect to me. I then ran on the side of the wall to the exit with Kacchan pointing out its only reporters. When we made it to the end, Itsuka got up above the doorframe to speak. Everyone, it's just the press. Don't worry and head back to the classrooms. Her statement seemed to calm everyone down enough where it wasn't complete anarchy anymore. We did the same shortly after with giving our farewells to Itsuka before entering into the class to wait for Aizawa. Once he came in, he explained that we were going to an off-campus facility to train in rescue training. Accompanying us will be himself, All Might, and a third person we would not know of until we got to the facility. We were also given the choice of using our hero costumes or our PE uniforms. Since mine didn't get repaired yet, I had to choose to go with my PE uniform. We all changed and made our way out to the buses. Everyone sit in seat order. We should retain the dignity of the class even if we are not that type of bus Ida. Just let people sit where they want since we won't have that many opportunities to be our own individual so much when we become pro-heroes. I walked in to sit in the front with Ochako and Momo sitting between me along with Kacchan sitting across from us. Everyone followed my lead with just sitting with who they were friends already with. As we started to leave, Asui though to ask a question that she had on her mind. Hey Midoriya, why do you hate Crossblade so much? Thank you. Someone else who was going to ask this. I glanced at Kaminari to see Jiru send her aux cords at his eyes for his comment. I guess saying he's my father isn't a shock anymore for all of you. Unfortunately, he was never around when I was a child. At the age of 5, I began to realize the main reason why is because he probably believed my mother and me were weak. So now I want to become the greatest swordsman as the only man who can beat him. If I do, he has absolutely no reason why to not acknowledge my existence as both a better swordsman and his son. So you want to become the greatest swordsman just to prove to your father you're his son? For the most part, yes. Life's been kinda an uphill battle for me as well. Until a few days ago when a strange strength enhancer quirk manifested in me. I was quirkless. Life now is to the point where being normal is unnatural in nature, so people kinda are assholes to you growing up. I had to literally work myself to the bone to make myself as strong as I could. Some mornings, I woke up thinking this was absolute hell on earth. But now, I'm to a level that most can't even begin to comprehend at my age. The bus stopped for us to get off and be met by the Pro Hero 13. So cool, we get to learn from 13. Ochako started to become a complete fangirl while bouncing up and down explaining everything she admired of the space hero from his skill on using his quirk, to the fact he looked like an astronaut with Ochako's costume being modeled in a similar fashion due to her admiration. I found it kinda funny. When we got inside the building after a small discussion about it being for heroes to train for natural disasters, we were met with a giant facility with zones that specialized in any possible incident we could face. Now this is a training facility. Out of nowhere, the lights started to flicker with a portal opening up in the center of the area. Cool, they even have fake villains here. You idiot, those aren't fake shitty hair. They're the real deal. 9. A man with blue hair and hands covering his body came out along with some bulky beast before speaking. We are the League of Villains. We've come to kill All Might. Aizawa immediately ran into action with me following suit. Midoriya, what are you doing? So long as I only use my practice swords, I'm not doing anything illegal. Also, you won't be able to handle everyone here that easily. He gave me an annoyed glare before telling me something. If things get dicey, you have authorization. Hopefully, I won't need it. 1. Third person POV. 1. Izuku and Aizawa jumped down to begin taking on the forces of the League with some man covered in mist going for the class. I don't think so. Izuku jumped up with 5% alpha in his legs to hit the mist man with a spiraling slash. The attack knocked him down to the ground before Izuku came over to knock him out. That should help. 2 goons came at Izuku to dodge and hit them both hard enough to crack their skulls before hitting them in the gut to knock them out. The young swordsman then ran to Aizawa to cover his back from a mutation-type quirk user. Charging Bull. Izuku hit the villain in his torso with the tips of his practice blades, sending him a distance. He immediately twirled around to knock out someone about to hit him from behind to send the thug flying into the ground. 1. As this went on, the members of Class A was able to open the door to let Iida escape. Ochako, Momo, and Bakugo glanced down at their friend, trying to think of the best course of action to lighten the burden on him and their teacher. I'm gonna go down and give them a hand. I'm with ya, Uraraka. Sue quickly grabbed her friends before they ran down the steps to hold them in the air. I don't think that's a good idea. Midoriya isn't causing a problem since he didn't really use his quirk yet, but that's because he is used to fighting Quirkless. We, however, are not, and we'll be in the way. I don't give a fuck. Let me go, Frog Girl. You all seem to be having fun. The members of Class A looked at the bottom of the steps to see the man with hands and a bird-beaked guy with his brain on display smiling at them. Nomu, kill the brats. The beast known as Nomu charged at them to only be knocked away by Izuku jumping over to chuck the beast away. Keep your attention on who you're fighting, fool. Izuku glanced over to notice the man was gone before seeing him near Sue. He was about to touch her before getting a slash of wind pressure to that nearly sliced his hand off. Don't you dare go after my friends. You do, and I will not think twice of ripping you to bits. The villain looked at Izuku with an enraged scowl. Nomu, kill the brat now. The beast called Nomu came at Izuku from behind to slam his face into the stairs, cracking the pavement. Izuku, Midoriya, Deku. I wouldn't worry about him so much. Because you will join him, Sue. The villain was knocked back by a weight. Like I said, Izuku was shown throwing the Nomu back to the bottom of the stairs with blood coming out of the young swordsman's head. You want to go after my friends, I'll not think twice about ripping you to bits. Izuku charged at the man at speeds that far exceeded what he was originally doing to send everyone for a loop. The villain was able to dodge, however, with heading back towards the bottom of the steps. I will not allow you to harm anyone in this school. Before Izuku could hit the villain with his practice swords, he noticed what happened with his fight against Krieg again. He saw the Nomu attack him from behind, sending him into the floor. To counter, Izuku jumped to the side to see the Nomu attack the ground where he was. That's twice now this happened. What is this? Something with OFA. Not important right now. 13. Izuku stood to the Nomu and began charging at it. Each hit must be precise for the best blade. Such as with battle, one false move will end in failure. Hawkeye's words ringed in Izuku's head as he was targeting weak spots on the body. I think I get it now. When I attack, I can't take back a single swing of the sword. Izuku continued his onslaught, hitting the Nomu in the neck, side, and top of the head at insane speeds. I can't lose here. I can't lose. In an effort to end this quickly, Izuku unintentionally channeled OFA with everything he had into his right practice blade to slice through the Nomu like knife through butter. The act made Izuku smirk, knowing he won, but felt immense pain in both his head and arm. He looked down to see that his arm was broken along with the wooden blade nearly being destroyed. He started to fade out after this with a smirk on his face. 1. He did it. He actually beat the fucking freak show. Bakugo was shouting this until the beast grabbed Izuku's head in its hands. Did you really think Nomu would die that easily? He was made to kill All Might. Nomu started to hold Izuku's head while crushing it slowly. Though he was unconscious and couldn't tell what was happening, the pain was flooding into Izuku with feeling physically helpless while it happened. Midoriya, Aizawa tried to run over to help, but was kicked into the stairs by the beast, knocking him out. Goodbye, kid. This is game over for you. Before the Nomu could kill Izuku, the door was cut open with Hawkeye walking in looking enraged. His anger seemed to jump even higher seeing Izuku in the Nomu's hands. How dare you lay a hand on my son? You shall pay. Hawkeye ran down the steps at insane speeds to grab Izuku's practice blades and form some strange black coating on them. 10. I shall show you no mercy, monster. If you think you have the courage to come here, harm innocent people, and kill my son. Hawkeye released a devastatingly fast and precise assault on the Nomu's head, forcing it to drop Izuku and be pushed backwards. Then you deem yourself worthy to go toe-to-toe with myself. With both practice blades, Hawkeye slammed at the Nomu's head, ripping it off to send it out of the USJ and out of sight. Make no mistake, beast, you did not lose to the Swordsman Hawkeye Mihawk. You lost to the will of the Green Demon of Mustafar. The beast's body fell motionless, with Hawkeye placing the swords down, holding his large blade called Yuru to the hand villain with an enraged face. Come at me if you dare, villain, for I shall show you who truly is stronger between the two of us. 3. In this moment, the Mist Man started to regain consciousness to return to the hand villain's side. Shigaraki, sir, we must leave now. We do not have the strength to go against Crossblade. He cheated Kurogiri. Shigaraki started scratching his neck violently while looking at Hawkeye. You cheater. He was cut short by a small slice on his left cheek, with a mountain behind both villains being sliced cleanly in half. If you wish to continue, your fate shall be similar to that mountain's. Kurogiri started to make a portal for both of them to escape while Shigaraki glared at Hawkeye. Do not think this is over. We will be back to finish the job. Mark my words, swordsman, I will kill both of you. They disappeared, with the swordsman putting his blade away before walking to Izuku. He picks him up to carry to the front while the members of Class A brought Aizawa up as well. Have no fear, for I am here, it is over, All Might. Have recovery girls set up 2 beds for Aizawa and Izuku. Both need immediate attention. These were the only words Hawkeye spoke before walking past the symbol of peace to the direction of Ua. 6. Few hours later, Hawkeye paused. As Izuku laid in bed with bandages over his chest and forehead, I could not help but feel as if this was my fault. His hatred for me, his desire to become stronger, and his will to go as far as he did. All of it could have been avoided if I had just known he existed. Keep it together, Dracule. You had no way to know. Inko disappeared with you trying everything in your power to find her. She even changed to her mother's maiden name of Midoriya. If I had known, no, I should have known and tried harder to find her. Because of that, my only son hates me. I was pulled out of my self-pity once I had heard the bed creak. Izuku had began to wake up with looking at me in anger. Hawkeye. 1. I had gotten up to walk out before looking at the boy. We will continue our forging tomorrow. Take the time to rest today. Wait, I stopped for a moment before he asked me a serious question. What happened after I blacked out? You defeated the beast that police believed could kill All Might, with me arriving shortly after to ward off the man with blue hair. In that moment, the villain of Mist had come over to take the blue-haired man and himself out of the area while proclaiming this was not over and will come after the 2 of us. I opened the door to see 4 women and the blonde Izuku trains with outside the door. You have visitors. When you feel strong enough, recovery girl had stated you were free to go home. I left with hearing the girls panic for him, with the man shouting in frustration at his recklessness. 1. Why did you tell him that it was young Midoriya's attack that slayed the beast and not your own? I was stopped by All Might, who had chosen to greet me in his smaller form. He had already lost much pride when he was beaten by me and is already enraged with my acts of fighting his forging. Knowing that I had to save him may have been too much. Pride and honor means everything to a swordsman. To be saved by the man you wish to beat, who had already overpowered you immensely, is something no swordsman can handle. So you saved his pride in knowing he defeated the thing they called Nomu with his attack. As I said to the beast, he did not lose to my power, he lost to Izuku's will to not give up. I walked away while thinking of how to help my son forge his swords again. If these villains will target Izuku, he must have a proper means of defense. Izuku paused. After the incident with the villains at the USJ, UA had decided to make it alive in school, with them being up and running in record time. Apparently they were in question for a few years, with it only being worth starting after the current incident as a way for the school to save face that we were caught off guard. The match between Izuku Midoriya and the challenger Igor Sembuli will now commence. Today, Master called me up to tell me that a challenger has come to face me to have me explain the situation to Mr. Aizawa. He allowed me off campus with him being a chaperone. Once the rest of the class heard of the match, they wanted to tag along with none of us seeing any reason why not to. As a peanut gallery, I had Ochako, Itsuka, Momo, Kacchan, and the rest of Class A with our teacher watching my match. Begin. The challenger charged at me while holding 2 machetes in his hand about to chop down at me. When I beat you, I'll be known as the greatest swordsman in this country. I dodged with him coming at me again. Is dodging all you can do? Question mark. No wonder you can't use real blades, you're weak. I immediately pulled my practice blades out when I saw an opening to initiate one of my newer techniques I was working on. 2000 spiraling whirlwinds. The attack sent the challenger into a wall, making a crack in it along with knocking him out. I put my practice blades away while bowing to my opponent. Victory Midoriya. Everyone started to cheer, with some of the younger kids who wanted to be like me running up to ask if I could teach them the trick. Since it was still in the testing phase, I told them I'd teach them when I'd get all the kinks out of it. 1. As I walked to my classmates, many were having their mouths wide open. What? Don't what us, you just beat some guy that was a brute with wooden sticks while he had machetes. Kaminari shouted this while I looked back at the unconscious challenger. Your point is, if Deku wants to be the best, he needs to not lose to people who hold an advantage over him. It's not that surprising when you think of what he's accomplished. Kacchan states this while I walk back to the changing room to get into normal clothes. When I came out, the students of the dojo were practicing swordsmanship, with a few having a fire in their eyes. Good to see the younger generation with such determination. While walking back to Ua, we were met by Hawkeye greeting us at the entrance. Hawkeye, Izuku. He turned while leading me to the forge. I gave Ochako, Itsuka, and Momo a kiss before leaving with him to try forging my blades again. 5. At the forge, as we enter in, I notice all the blades I made over the last few days out on the table. I'd like you to inspect each and every blade and determine the difference between them to Yuru. Hawkeye pulls his blade off his back to present it. I start off with inspecting the first sword I made while seeing the craftsmanship of the giant blade. At first I didn't see the difference until I started to see odd markings in where I struck the metal. There's odd dents. Correct. When I saw this, I immediately went to the next blade to see similar dents before going down the line to the most recent. Once I saw this, I realized what his words meant. He was referring to the way I was striking the metal. I see, each hit has to be precise in order to get the most out of the metal. If you mess up, the metal distorts and becomes unusable. Hawkeye looks at me and smirks while answering. That is correct. Such is the way of the sword, a swordsman can never take back a swing of the blade. This is true for forge smiths as well. A single faulty with a strike, a failed hit, and the object becomes significantly weaker than it should. If too much, the object will become useless. He began putting 10 ingots on the table before looking at me. We have a little over 2 weeks until the sports festival. By that time, I want you to have your 2 swords, one at the very least. But if we do one at a time, you'll never be able to get it done by the time you need them. We'll need to begin every one of them at the same moment. Do you accept this? I nodded while he handed one of the ingots to me. Then let's get to work. That was the start of the next 2 weeks of absolute hell for me. 1. The first few days were relatively flawless. I was able to get the form down well with the announcement of the sports festival being done officially in class. I had told the girls that I had to work on making my swords and focusing solely on that for some time. They understood while letting me do my thing. On the 4th day of my forging, the first blade had chipped and broke on the edge. Hawkeye told me that it was unsalvageable and to get rid of it. I made a personal goal to keep what happened in mind while continuing with another few days of nothing bad happening going on. The focus at the forge had made many question what I was doing while keeping my body in shape along the way. On day 7, 2 more swords broke with me being down to 7 others left. I started to feel nervous getting to the halfway mark when every mistake counted. Thanks to this unease 2 others broke on day 9 with me being down to 5. As my hands shook, I remembered an old saying my teacher told me. When I would be nervous, remember why I am doing what I am. This gave me the confidence to go to day 12 before breaking 2 more. I was so close to being able to reach my goal, yet so far from it. On the 13th day, I had broken another blade, bringing me down to only 2. The final day had come with giving one final strike on the blades before dousing them down in water. Once cool, Hawkeye held them both on the bench while holding his crappy blade he made in his hand. Please be good. He raised his hand up while slashing downward with my eyes shut, scared to watch. My heart stopped as I slowly opened them to see metal on the ground. Did they break? I looked upward to see Hawkeye hold a broken blade with mine being untouched. Nicely done. Now for the final touches. He had given me coal in a liquefied form to paint the back of the blades before giving me the option of different leathers to cover the hilts of the blades with. I asked about the hilts I originally had for him to look at the grips before showing me how to replicate them. Once they were done, I placed the 2 into the sheaths of Sasaguru and Shitsuke to symbolize where I started. Congratulations, you have officially reforged your swords. Now, it is customary for a smith to name their work. What shall you call them? I think I'll name the white one Kandena, generous, and the black one Chujitsuna, loyal. Hawkeye smirked while walking away. Make sure to clean up when you're finished. He stopped while saying what he was going to next. You made 2 fine swords, do not take them for granted. I looked down while seeing Hawkeye start to walk away. Wait, he turned to me while I hesitated to ask my next question. Why did you leave us? He looked at me confused while I explained. Why did you never come to visit me and Mom? It hurt us more than you could believe, so why? I felt myself shaking while Hawkeye came to sit in front of me. Do you have some time? I nodded while sitting down. 11. First and foremost, I never knew you existed until the day I met you on the first day. Inko's real last name was Shimura and Midoriya was her biological father's last name. When I met your mother, she told me she didn't wish to bother me with her troubles. Because of that, she disappeared to never see me nor Shota again. That does sound like her, but Mom knew Mr. Aizawa. She did. They were actually the first few people I met while coming to this world. This world. Allow me to explain. I do not come from this specific world. In my world, there is something known as the Grand Line. If one were to travel around it, a unique portal opens up to show them to a different world. This world, to be precise. I came here about 25 years ago and met the 2 when they were just out of college. 1. He took a deep sigh while explaining. Thanks to my connections with the Marines and myself being one of the 7 pirate warlords, I was able to become a hero in this world. I had made myself responsible to take down some of the most ruthless pirates who came here and keep them inside the Grand Line. However, I had made one error 5 years after doing this to make a small town fall to a pirate's hands. He was quickly taken down, but he took the lives of 200 people. This country relied on me, and I let so many down. That night, Inko consoled me and well, I don't think you wish to hear the last part. Please don't. I get what happened enough. After was when she disappeared from mine and Shota's lives. I always felt responsible for pushing her away, not understanding why. Believe me when I say I looked for her, but I never found her until a few days ago. When you were in front of our home. He nodded. I began to get up to put what I needed to away while asking one final question. If you're from another world, why do you have a quirk? What I use is not a quirk. It is a technique known as haki. It allows someone to enhance their bodies or swords, in my case, have enhanced eyesight with some being able to see the future for a few seconds, or even defeat opponents with their prescience and produce electricity. When he said future seeing, my mind went to what I was able to do prior with the fights recently. Haki is not something easy to learn and requires much dedication. If you were to ever learn it, you may be able to reach goals not even All Might could at the moment. 1. I finished cleaning up to turn to Hawkeye. Is it possible to use it without any training? Yes, but it's rare. You would need to be in touch with your own spiritual energy to begin with before awakening it. Every living being can learn Haki, but not everyone knows how to learn it. So I used some kind of Haki. No, it's impossible. I don't see myself being able to do this yet. Something happened you cannot explain, didn't it? Why yeah, when I was fighting Don Krieg, I was able to see the future slightly from what I can tell. I thought this was a fluke until the USJ attack when I was attacked by the Nomu. Hawkeye started to smirk at me while stating his next part. You have already shown special talent with observation haki. Very few have this talent to use it to this degree. I started to walk out while thinking of what he said. Observation haki. I wonder what I could do if I could use them. I've got 2 days left until the sports festival, might as well see if I can use it to some extent. Hawkeye Pav. I wonder. I begin to take out my phone to call a specific number. Hello, Straw Hats Industry. How can I help you? A woman grabbed the phone for me to simply ask a question. Hello, is Triblade able to speak, cat thief? Hawkeye. Question mark quote. I started to hear rummaging while shouting on the other side of the phone. Zoro, you've got Hawkeye on the phone for you. Wait, what? Question mark. Why is he asking for me, Nami? I don't know. Go ask him. Hello. It has been quite some time since I've spoken to you, Roronoa Zoro. Yes, what do I owe the pleasure? I'll cut to the chase. You are aware of the sports festival coming up, correct? Yeah, me and the crew were going to go to watch it up close and personal. Why? I smiled while explaining. There is a boy in class 1A, he's a swordsman like us and has shown signs of being able to use haki. Quote. There's no way. It is, and he's my son. I would like you to watch and possibly see about offering him a chance to do a work study with you. 6. Zoro had listened closely before answering. If he's your son, then he's gotta be worth the effort. What's his name? Izuku Midoriya. He has quite messy green hair and twin swords. I'll keep my eye out for him. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. I had hung up while walking out of the forge. Best of luck to you, Izuku. I had opened a gate for you, now it is your decision on whether to enter it or not. Izuku Pav. The day of the sports festival finally came for me to walk into the room with all my classmates sporting my newly forged swords. Hey, no fair man. Why do you have weapons? Because shitty hair. Deku's real strength is with those swords he's got. So how badass are they? Kacchan looked at me with a smirk as I unsheathed both Kandana and Chujutsuna to show the shine of the steel to everyone. Thanks to going through the ringer, I was able to find a way to make these too. The steel isn't that of the original, but the grips and the sheaths are from Sasajuru and Shitsuke as a way to honor where I began. The one in my left with the white handle is Kandana, and the right with the black handle is Chujutsuna. With these, I'm back in action. Good, I'm gonna have fun beating you at your top. In your dream, you angry blonde. I'll take you down so fast, your head will spin. Don't count me or Momo out of this yet, Izuku. We've been training hard with Itsuka and are gonna put just as much into winning as you. We started laughing a bit with Todoroki walking up to me. Midoriya, I want you to know that I will beat you today. Consider this my declaration of war to you. Our bicolored friend walked away with this, surprising me a bit. I guess we're seeing what type of steel Todoroki has as well. We're being called Izuku. Momo mentioned to me that we have the all clear to head out with us all heading into the stadium. Zoro Pav. Common Luffy, I wanna get a good seat. After finally being taken through UA's security checks, they allowed us inside. Those seem to be kinda longer than last times. I can almost guarantee it has to do with the recent attack on the school Usopp. It's most likely their way to state that everything is under control. Robin states this with Luffy looking around with his usual curiosity. This place is so cool. And this is why we don't come to the sports festival often. We kept walking until we hear someone shout out to us. If it isn't the Straw Hats. We all turned around to see Smoker walking up to us. What are you lot doing here? Quote. We were requested to come by Hawkeye. Must be that one swordsman. Izuku Midoriya, if I remember correctly. You know him. Nami began asking with another voice coming behind the marine. Roronoa Zoro. Quite a rare treat it is seeing you here. Oh great, not her too. 1. Tashigi, what are you doing here? I overheard that boy you said took down Don Krieg was in this, so I decided to stay and watch. Little did I know the Straw Hats would be here. She started looking at me with a determined face before speaking. So why are you watching him? I was told by Hawkeye that this Midoriya kid is his son. Tashigi was beyond surprised with Smoker only smiling. Now this got interesting. He lit a cigar while walking inside. I'm getting front row seats for this. The son of the greatest swordsman himself. I wonder if he got real swords for today. Great, now the Marines are interested. 3. Third person POV. What's up ladies and gents? It's time for the annual UA Sports Festival. I'm your host present Mike with Eraserhead and Crossblade up here as my personal assistant DJs. Must he speak in such vulgarity? Just drown out his loudness and you'll be fine. Okay, that was cold. Anyway, here comes our first set of competitors. These first years had survived a villain attack and are the highlight of today's event. Please welcome Class 1A. The crowd screamed as the Straw Hats and their Marine associates found their way to the front. Aw man, this is so cool. Luffy shouted this in excitement while the rest of the classes came inside the stadium. And now for our first year's referee. The R-rated hero, Midnight. Many of the men in the audience shouted in joy for Sanji and Brook to join in. Such a beauty unafraid to show of her exquisite figure. Truly a beauty if I've ever seen one. Is that proper attire for a teacher? Is that proper attire for a woman to begin with? Zoro and Tashigi questioned this as the pro began speaking. And now, to present the player's oath as the first-year representative. Izuku Midoriya. Izuku walked up to the podium with everything going silent. That's the son of Hawkeye. He's also the guy we're keeping an eye on. Izuku took a deep breath in before speaking. I'm a man who allows his actions to speak louder than his words. Today, both myself and my fellow classmates from all the courses will give it our best. To prove this, I will take these off right now as proof I'm holding nothing back. Izuku pulled his PE uniform up to show weights on his arms, legs and torso that weighed up to 800 pounds. In one go, he pulled them off and dropped them on the podium making cracks in it. 8. Are those what I think they are? Every member of the Straw Hats, Smoker, Tashigi, the audience, even some teachers were awestruck at what happened. Now that I've shed my excess weight, I can prove to you all I'm trying my best today. Izuku held a happy face with Midnight attempting to lift the weights off the podium to only manage moving them one at a time with some difficulty. Now that we have that out of the way, let's begin our first event. A giant roulette spun with it landing on an event saying obstacle course. And our first event shall be the obstacle course. Players shall run around the outside of this arena and come back here in the shortest amount of time they can. The first 42 back will move on to the next round. Every student got into position with Zoro and Smoker looking intensely. This just got interesting. Those weights definitely slowed him down. Now we'll get to see his top speed. The buzzer rang for everyone to go with Izuku jumping up to run on the walls. It looks like everyone is stuck in the entrance. Check again. Mike looked again to see Izuku and Todoroki out in front. Oh snap. It looks like Midoriya and Todoroki are out in front managing our first event, Robo Inferno. 1. Everyone was starting to freak out that wasn't in Class A with Todoroki freezing every robot that came near him. One was in a very unstable position however and nearly crushed the two. Out of the way, Izuku unsheathed both Kandana and Chujitsuna to slice the robot into pieces that were falling around the group. That was unbelievable ladies and gentlemen. Midoriya has just sliced up a giant robot with continuing forward taking down any that stand in his way. Unbelievable, you're telling me, and I thought he was strong for taking down a tough pirate. Smoker, Tashigi, and Zoro watched in interest while the rest of the Straw Hats glanced over to watch Izuku curious as to why they're so impressed. As this went on, Izuku found himself at the second obstacle with it seeming to be nothing to him. I keep my footing when my weight is almost 1 ton, this is nothing. He balanced on the ropes to a point it looked like the Greenette was a born natural acrobat. Meanwhile, Bakugo caught up to him and Todoroki for the trio to be neck and neck as they entered their final obstacle. Right before entering with the other two, Izuku stopped to see what was ahead. If I go in there without much thought, I'll get nowhere fast. I gotta think this through and find a way to handle this better. Izuku sheathed his blades before taking a seat in a meditating position. Did Midoriya just stop for no reason? He has some idea. I do not know what, but it must be something. Hawkeye mentioned this with many people passing the young swordsman. Is he okay? Jiro asked with Itsuka and Momo reassuring her. He should be fine. Just let him focus. They walked away with Ochako stopping hearing what he's thinking. Hockey. She pulled this out of her mind before continuing into the next event. As this happened, Izuku remained in deep thought of how his fights with Don Krieg and the Nomu at the USJ went. I did it before subconsciously at a refined level from what I've been told. So hypothetically, a diluted level shouldn't be impossible on a conscious level. 1. Izuku kept focusing with no real image in his head on how to use observation hockey. Damn it, I could use this before, why can't I use it when I need it? Question mark single quote. Izuku opened his eyes to notice some areas in the dirt above were darkly colored compared to most. He had watched someone touch on a very dark patch for it to blow up. Am I seeing this? As the match kept going, the group of Straw Hats and Marine Duo watched curious what was going to happen next. He may not make it into the top 42 the way things are going. Robin stated this with the three who were rooting for him letting a sigh out. That's a bit of a letdown. Zoro stated this in some disappointment while Smoker went for a cigar. As he lit it, Mike started screaming on his microphone. I don't believe it, ladies and gentlemen. Midoriya is. Smoke immediately looked to the screen to have a beyond shocked face to the point he dropped his cigar that was in his mouth watching what he's seeing. Midoriya is running on the mines. He isn't running on the mines. He's running on the area around them to not detonate them. Hawkeye mentioned this as Izuku passed everyone that was ahead of him, making it to Bakugo and Todoroki. No way. Deku found a way to us with ease. Both turned their attention to Izuku with him pulling his blades out. If I can't stop them myself, then this is the only other option. He slashed the ground near the two that was darkened in his line of sight. I need to push them back. The act made the mines buried underneath blow with the duo being thrown back. Oh man folks, Midoriya just took first and threw both Bakugo and Todoroki back. Izuku ran past and cleared the obstacle to make it back into the stadium. And the first one back is none other than Class A's very own Izuku Midoriya. The crowd roared as Izuku stood up straight holding his right fist in the air. You all saw that, right? Sanji was rubbing his eyes trying to make sure he wasn't seeing the wrong thing. Without a doubt, the kid found out how to use observation hockey right there. Smoker picked his cigar up while lighting a second to replace it. Just who is this kid? Green Demon of Mustafar and greatest swordsman in Japan. He's also a pretty skilled pirate hunter. Smoker answered Tashigi's question with her watching the boy more intently. The greatest swordsman in Japan, the Green Demon of Mustafar. The final person passed the finish line with the 42 contestants moving on, regrouping into the center near the podium. Now it's time to announce our second event. And it is... Cavalry battle. Players will face off in groups of 2 to 4 with a headband count placed from the neck up. The winners will be the top 16 who have the most points at the end of 15 minutes. The points will be determined on where you placed in the last event. And here are the points. Every person who placed was up above with a point value of a 5-point difference between. For the first place winner, however, you shall be worth 10 million points. Izuku heard this with everyone giving him a death glare. He opened one sword, proving he's ready for a fight with none of them scaring him. You have 5 minutes to make your teams. Good luck. Izuku walked around looking for someone to partner with while thinking of what he should look for in a partner. Maybe I should think of some long-distance people. I can defend well in close, but long is something I can't really handle so well. He was pulled out of his thought when a certain orange-haired girl grabbed him to bring over towards here. Hey Izuku, wanna pair up with us? Izuku was asked by Itsuka to pair with her, Ochako, and Momo. This could work. Oh yeah, any chance you can make a little rope for me, Momo? Sure, why? She asked this while passing Izuku the rope as he tied the opening of his swords shut. Just so I don't unintentionally hurt someone. The trio understood with Ochako walking over to pat his shoulder. We're in your hands, Izuku. He activated 5% of OFA for lightning to arc around him while nodding. Since you three are also on the line, I'll be using this as well. 5 minutes passed with Izuku mounting on top of Itsuka, Momo, and Ochako. Their idea was to have Itsuka be the front of their group since her strength and quirk would benefit them, while Ochako made the orange-haired girl and Momo weightless, with Izuku being the weight to keep them on the ground. Meanwhile, Momo would act as defense for them, with Izuku taking down any that attacked them. In logic, it was a sound idea. But the real trouble is what the others could do to possibly counter it. Now it's time to start the next part of the sports festival. Teams ready. Begin. Mike shouted, with everyone charging immediately for Izuku and the group. You know what to do, Itsuka. Right. Itsuka started using her quirk to knock close by people away with wind for someone to come near Momo's side. They were met with a metal pole to the gut to only realize it was Mineta. I'm not gonna lie, that was oddly satisfying. Especially after the stunt he pulled before. Momo was rather irritated at the little perv, mainly due to him latching onto her back with his quirk to get as high as he did. 1. Don't think us of Class B are going down that easily. Monoma was cut short by Izuku whacking his face with the sheath of Chujitsuna before cracking his knuckles. I don't need a quirk to take the likes of you down. Now, get out of my sight before I make you lose yours. Izuku glared at the blonde, ready to kill him, with his group running away. Wait, he's that way. Thought so. Now, it appears it's just the three of us against each other. Izuku held both his tied-shut swords in his hands, glaring at Bakugo and Todoroki. Keep to Todoroki's left side. He can't freeze us if he'd have to hit someone else. You're mine, Deku. Bakugo was the first to attack, with propelling to Izuku. The greenette deflected his first attack to only be attacked by his second hand. This was blocked by Chujitsuna before changing where Kandena was in his hand, pointing outward to inward before smacking Bakugo in the face, nearly pushing him out of bounds if Zero didn't catch him. Taking advantage of the situation, Todoroki and his group charged in, with Tokiyami attacking Izuku with Dark Shadow. Momo. Flash Bomb. Momo did as she was asked to create a small flash bomb, forcing the Shadow Beast away. How did you know Dark Shadow wasn't able to defend? I assumed the costume you have had some feature with it being covered by a cloak. Didn't take much logic after that. Izuku answered, with Iida preparing to do something. Izuku. Iida's planning something with his quirk. Ochako shouted this, with him looking down for an answer. How do you know? It's a long story, but I know. Izuku took her advice to keep his mind on Iida for him to use some kind of attack. Recipro burst. He charged at them, with Izuku seeing an image of Todoroki grabbing his headband, knowing this was a possible future. Not gonna happen. Izuku held Kandena out for the bicolored young adult to go directly into it, impaling his stomach. Ack. He was sent backwards, forcing him on the ground, wheezing in pain from what happened. Now that's what I call painful, folks. A quick idea from Team Todoroki has made their leader fall to the ground in pain. Todoroki, I apologize. Wheeze, you didn't know. Cough cough, we didn't expect him to see that. Todoroki got back up to get back to his group for them to unfortunately be unable to do anything any longer. Izuku and his group didn't have much trouble after this, as time rang. In first was them, with Todoroki after, Bakugo in third, and a general studies guy called Shinso in fourth. The group was dismissed for lunch before the next event began. Before they did, however, a voice was heard from the stadium. Green Demon of Mustafar. Everyone looked where it came from to see it was Tashigi. She held her sword out, pointing at Izuku with a look of determination on her face. My name is Captain Tashigi of the Marines, and I challenge you to a duel. Everyone was kinda shocked, with Midnight about to step in if Hawkeye didn't speak up. This may be something worth the audience's time. Cementos, please get a stadium ready for them. The duel shall take place directly after lunch. Izuku Pav. 2. I walked out of the arena focused on the match at hand. Midoriya. Todoroki tapped my shoulder to take me out of my train of thought. Yes, can I have a word with you? Okay, but can we make this quick? I need to prepare for the duel. We walked in a corner out of the way of everyone for Todoroki to begin speaking. Quote. How? I raised an eyebrow as I asked. How what? How can you be a swordsman after your father left you and your mother? I looked down at my blades before smirking. I guess even though I kinda hated him for not being around, I still had respect for him. Kinda messed up, right? Todoroki didn't seem entertained as something started to irritate me about him. Time for me to ask a question. Why haven't you used your full power yet? You might have been able to take me on in the last round if you did. He looked at his left hand before explaining. I refused to use that man's power. He began explaining to me about how his family life was with Endeavor buying his mother from her parents in a way of speaking and being trained as the ultimate weapon to surpass all might. He even explained how he feels it's his father's fault his mother poured scalding hot water on his face and wound up in a mental hospital. During all this, I remained calm until he came to the conclusion on why he doesn't. I plan to become the top pro with only my ice half. This'll prove I'm nothing like that bastard. I see no difference right now. He was silent with a scowl beginning to form. You can do that all you want, but the way you treat me and our other classmates makes you seem more like him. Cold and distant as if nothing matters but your own goals. What do you think is even going to happen if by some chance you do become number one? Let's say you magically become the top pro with only your ice half, what do you think it'll change? You think that all the issues you had growing up will not happen? That your father is gonna become dad of the year and your mother is gonna get better? No, if you continue down this path, you'll prove you're no better than him and prove a point that you're trying to refuse to yourself. Midoriya, this isn't as simple as you think it is. I know damn well that giving half-ass results makes everything others do that want to be just as strong as you as insulting. You think I got to be the best swordsman in Japan because I gave half my skill. I worked myself to the point I was laying down in pain every night from training as hard as I did. So when someone who's deemed a prodigy like you gives crappy results, it makes me feel like all the climbing I've done up till now was useless and pisses me off to no end. Todoroki looked at me amazed I was so angered by this. I'm normally calm and collective, even when Monoma is picking a fight with me. But the fact he did this was something I couldn't stand. It made my blood boil knowing he's only giving it half of what he can. If I face you in the next event, you better not hold back. I pulled Chujutsu out of its sheath to point at Todoroki. A villain will not care for your issues, so do not expect them to hold anything back. And if you do the same crap you've done with me again, then I'll make it so you can't use your left half. Get the picture. I placed Chujutsu back in its sheath before walking away. 2. Calm down Izuku. You need to focus on the task at hand. I found my way to the cafeteria with Mineta and Kaminari trying to make an excuse to have the girls wear cheerleader outfits. Okay, but you'll have to tell Mr. Aizawa why you didn't follow his orders. I passed Mr. Aizawa on the way here. He said nothing about the girls being cheerleaders as we spoke about the halftime entertainment. I lied with both pervs freezing knowing I caught them in their lie. Damn it Midoriya, we almost had them. Now we know for a fact it's a lie. They froze hearing this with Jiro piercing both their eyes with her aux cords. They began rolling on the floor in pain with the earphone jack girl still pretty ticked. Nice shot. Also, don't be so mad since neither of you had this happen. I guess. I grabbed some lunch and sat down near Momo, Ochako, and Itsuka. Hey Midoriya, can I talk to you? I glanced over to see Sue behind me. Sure, what's up? Well, I haven't gotten the chance to thank you for helping us during the USJ when you did. So I just wanted to say thank you and that I think you're pretty awesome ribbit. This made me smile a bit as I got up to pat Sue on her head. I just did what I had to. After lunch, the next event of the sports festival was shown first with it being a one-on-one matchup. Excuse me, I think I should withdraw. Ojiro raised his hand getting all of us confused. And why should you? You see, I don't remember much of the last event and feel like I shouldn't be here. I know it's selfish and I should just take the opportunity knowing I have a better chance of people being interested in me, but my pride wouldn't think it's right. Everyone did their best in the last round and it just isn't right for me to be here with doing nothing. ... I think I should as well. Some guy from Class B stated this with Midnight making the final call of accepting it. With this considered, the 2 slots were decided with the 5th place team to have 2 members of Class B called Tetsu and Shiozaki joining. The finalists were then called with my group going up first to get our lots. When I came back though, I patted Ojiro's shoulder smiling at him. I respect what you did. It's not easy doing what you think is right sometimes and I appreciate you keeping your morals. Thanks man. Good luck. He smiled at me as the matchups were shown to us. 1. Izuku Midoriya vs Hitoshi Shinso. Honta Siro vs Shoto Todoroki. Denki Kaminari vs Ibara Shiozaki. Itsuka Kendo vs Tenya Iida. Mina Ishido vs Yuga Aoyama. Momo Yaoyorozu vs Fumikage Tokiyami. Tetsu vs Eijiro Kirishima. Katsuki Bakugo vs Ochako Uraraka. I glanced at the man with purple hair called Shinso before heading to the side. Some special games will be done after the duel, so those of you who aren't in the third event can still have some fun. As I was calming my mind, the girls came up to me as a way to help calm my nerves. Hey Izuku, just wanted to wish you good luck. Ochako stated this in her cheery tone for me to smile. Thanks. By the way, how did you know what Iida was going to do before? Momo spoke up for her. Because I gave her a devil fruit to eat. A devil fruit, that's impressive. Yeah, not so much. It was the mind fruit, so I can read someone's mind. That's amazing. The problem is, I need to look at someone and I can only read their minds at best when they're facing me. I might be able to do it when their back is to me, but I can't right now. I still think reading someone's mind is awesome. See, Izuku liked it. Itsuka mentioned this as they were asked to leave the area by midnight, who was heading out as well. Across the stadium, I noticed Tashigi walk in, indicating that it was getting to that time. Hey, what better way to christen you two than to face a marine captain who's skilled in swordsmanship? I held on to Kadena and Chujutsun while saying this. 6. Third person POV. Alright ladies and gents, we've got a special event for you. A swordsman fight against one of the students and a marine captain. The crowd shouted in excitement as Mike shouted this. As a referee, we've even got the world's greatest swordsman, the sword hero Crossblade. Now for the contenders, a mighty female swordsman and a woman of honor and justice. The Marines' Captain Tashigi, and the man she challenged. He's the greatest swordsman of Japan and the nicknamed Green Demon of Mustafar, Class 1A's Izuku Midoriya. Everyone around Japan had paid much attention to this. Marine officers, the members of Izuku's dojo he's part of, even his friend and girlfriend's family along with his mother. Tashigi unlatched her blade before tossing it to Izuku. Catch. Izuku grabbed it, looking at her with confusion. I'd like to see your swords. To prove I have no ill intentions, I offered my sword first. The greenette thought about this before agreeing to it and tossing them to his opponent. As Tashigi unsheathed them, she paid close attention to the craftsmanship to a point she was marveled at it. The strikes on them were definitely done cleanly and precise. The way the swords look are proof they're new, but there's something inside them. I don't get it, but it feels like they're different than normal swords. Meanwhile, Izuku was looking at Tashigi's to notice it was the Shigure. One of many skilled swords. Though not the best, it's still a very unique sword to see. You have quite the sword here. This is the Shigure, correct? Yes. Izuku ran his finger down the side of the blade calmly before noticing something. You should be more careful with it. A blade like this should be treated with respect from its holder. He put the blade back in its sheath before tossing it back to Tashigi, along with her tossing his back. I must ask, where did you obtain those swords? I made them myself after my original two were broken. Izuku tied his swords back where they should be before continuing. The one on my left is Kadena, and the right is Chujutsun. Generous and loyal, fitting names for twin katanas. Why thank you. 9. Both stopped talking to finally begin the match. This fight will be over when one cannot fight any longer. In addition, killing is not allowed. Both nodded. They bowed to one another before unsheathing their swords and getting into a stance. Begin. Off the bat, Tashigi came at Izuku, slashing downwards for him to block with his swords. Oh snap folks, a frontal attack by Tashigi. How's Midoriya gonna respond? Izuku pulled back before holding his blades across his body and charged into attack with pulling his arms back to where they were. His onslaught didn't stop there, however. He kept on the offensive with Tashigi trying to parry each and every one of them. He's fast. Holy snap folks, now Tashigi's on the defensive. Tashigi continually tried to head out of the way and reconsider the next attack. Gotta fight back. Tashigi comes at Izuku again, with Izuku holding his blades in his iconic sword position. Here it comes. Bakugo knew what it was for him, Ochako, and Itsuka to smirk seeing it with these blades. Strike of Earth's Ascension. All or nothing to make a hit. Tashigi came up with a slash for both connect and stop feet away from where they did. 1. Izuku looked down to see his PE uniform's top be sliced and show his body. That would have ended badly. He also felt a bit of a sting on his chest to see a small cut on him. Impressive that you. Izuku stopped mid-sentence turning around to see Tashigi. I guess you live up to your reputation as well, Green Demon. Tashigi says with a cut on her cheek showing a bit of blood. She noticed Izuku's look before asking, "What's wrong?" Forgive me." Izuku covered his eyes with the female swordsman noticing a little bit of a breeze being felt on her midsection. She looked down to see Izuku not only cut her cheek, but also dead center of her shirt from the collar down to the hem. Ah, Tashigi covered herself as most of the crowd had noticeable nosebleeds except for a few. Why did you have to fall for that, Tashigi? Smoker states as him and Zoro attempt to cover their eyes to hold at least some humility for their companion subordinate. You perv, I didn't intend to do that. Besides, you got my shirt as well, so we're even. There was a silence as Tashigi tied her shirt up at least to prevent more exposure while Izuku yanked his completely off knowing it's virtually useless now. 4. Now let's keep going. Seeing Izuku's bare body, Ochako, Itsuka, Momo, even Sue started blushing as the look of the mon's-toned physic had been shown to them. I guess I have no choice but to finish this the best way I can. Ronga Cho. Tashigi came at Izuku with multiple slashes for him needing to block them. Some got through however and started cutting him, proving that she was moving faster than his eyes could notice and react. Holy snap, folks. From fanservice to brutality, what are these two going to show us next? I can't dodge all of them. I gotta find a way to avoid them all and get back. In that moment, Izuku saw an opening to the side of the female swordsman to duck and take it. He moved away to have a few feet of distance away while showing the crowd the cuts on his body. No way, Midoriya escaped and is now able to fight again. Does he have a plan, or are those cuts just the starting point of a painful end for him? I'm not gonna make it with another attack like that, and I don't think any of my other techniques are gonna work right now against it. Sigh, I guess it's time for that. Izuku calmed his mind as he thought of his next attack. A strange aura surrounded him as Tashigi prepared for what was next. But as she glanced at the green-haired man, she noticed almost what looked like snakes wrapping around him. Is this some kind of trick? No, this is different. Those aren't just snakes, they're Hydra. Ronga. Strike, Cho. Both came at each other with furious attacks as the sound of steel striking steel echoed through the stadium. Holy snap, they're matching each other blow for blow. All across, the stadium was watching with marvel as the two clashed. Their arms were moving so fast, all that could be seen were the metal of their blades hitting each other. However, not all the attacks were blocked. For every one that got past Izuku, two escaped Tashigi cutting one another. Members of the students and the staff started cheering for Izuku in hope he'd win. Get that marine bitch Deku. You can do it, Izuku. Come on, young Midoriya. Even those watching were cheering for the boy as they screamed where they were. Fight, Izuku. Kick that twat's ass, Izuku. Show them why I like you, kid. Go, Izuku. Fight hard, my student. One after the other, the stadium started to chant for Izuku as well. Demon, 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 Demon. Tashigi found herself being pushed back as Izuku smiled at this battle. I must thank you, Ms. Tashigi. I needed a proper fight to honor these blades and you without a doubt did the trick. Don't count me out just yet. I refuse to lose like this. Tashigi came at Izuku stronger than she already did, hoping to stop him. But when she tried to attack again, Izuku parried it while turning Kadena to the back where there wasn't a sharp end. You hate losing, huh? Well, so do I. He slammed the back of the blade into her arm, sending the marine into the wall with her blade flying up and dropping into the concrete beside Izuku. As everyone's eyes went to the indent in the wall, they noticed Tashigi was unconscious. Tashigi is no longer able to continue. Izuku Midoriya is the winner. Hawkeye shouted this as many cheered. And there you have it, folks. The might of the Green Demon has vanquished a Marine captain. Izuku put his swords away before taking Shiger out of the ground to place beside Tashigi and bowing to her. Thank you for the match, Marine Captain. It was an honor facing you. He walked away with everyone cheering for Izuku's victory. When he was inside and out of the view of people, Hawkeye confronted him. Get healed by Recovery Girl and prepare for your next match. This comment angered Izuku a little, knowing this was the only thing he was told by the man who was his father. When he was a few feet away, Hawkeye said one final piece to the greenette. Nicely done. A Marine Captain isn't easy to defeat and proves your strength as a swordsman. Do not falter because of your victory here. It wasn't a significant compliment to most, but it proved to Izuku that his father truly takes note of him. He went right to Recovery Girl's section to get patched up before heading back to the stands and being confronted by Ojiro, who had something he needed to say. Whatever you do in your match against Shinso, don't reply to him at all. I don't know how exactly, but he can control people's minds. To be continued. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Now we will see you in the next video.